it sounds like you got hypnotized to believe that to be successful.
Correct.
And you actually believe that's the reason why you're successful.
Look, you could put together any case against why I'm fabricating it or why, it was just happened to be timing, whatever it may be. And there's a lot of forces at play there, right? You hit bottom, you lost belief, you went to this, it redirected you. You had an entirely new mission and guide in life. But what is absolute truth is from that moment on, I just have been on a trajectory.
You skyrocketed.
That went from going to the top of skateboarding to writing a concept for the DC video that led to a television show that led to multiple television shows that then led to, creating a professional skateboarding league and cartoons, and then ultimately a business that creates businesses and making hundreds of millions of dollars.
I am so excited to have my guest here today. We have Rob Dyrdek, and I've never been speechless, but this guy is above and beyond probably any guest we've ever had on Habits and Hustle. You may think of him as a skateboarder. You may know him from Ridiculousness or Robin Big or Fantasy Factory, but this guy is one of the most clever entrepreneurs. What he's built, what he's done, how he's automated his life and designed a life that is way beyond anybody's imagination. You can't even imagine. I am so happy to have you here. Thank you for being here.
No, thank you for having me.
I don't mean to make you blush. I don't even know what direction to go with you, because when I told you when you walked in, when I delved deeper and deeper into who you are and what you've accomplished, forget about the TV, the skate, you and the world records and all of that. This podcast could be 11 hours, honestly. I don't know what direction to go first.
Yeah, and I think that ends up being a lot of the problem with sort of my past sort of reason of not doing press. For many years, I didn't even, as I built the Dyrdek Machine and built sort of this entirely new vision for myself and sort of life and legacy, I didn't talk to anybody. And so by the time I began to share it, it was deeply refined, and I had lived it and accomplished so much inside the way of thinking that now it's the only thing everybody wants to talk about. And that's how I control the narrative that has led to sort of me connecting with a lot of different people that think this way, to be able to have this conversation in a more intelligent, connected way to who you are and what your brand is, than just asking me, what'd you do to become a pro skater?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know. But it's like you've conquered so many different areas, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously it's like that's the through line, right? So it wasn't just in skating. You've conquered you're a serial entrepreneur and you've made hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in many businesses. Can you first start with what is the Dyrdek Machine? Let's start with the basics, and then we'll kind of move on from there.
Well, the Dyrdek Machine is a venture creation studio, which is essentially a business that creates businesses. Mm-hmm. And, as you know, a business is a living thing. And to me, I call it systematically fusing art, science, and magic, right? Because you've got to be the creator and the visionary for the idea that you have, but there are proven principles and certain inalienable things that have to happen for a business to be successful. That's the science side. And then you got to get lucky, right market, right timing, something happens to go your way and some magical moment happens to create a successful business. And in my case, I measure the success of that business through the entire cycle from idea all the way to exit.
So can you just walk us through the evolution of you? Because you've evolved over and grown so much from when you were you started when you were 16 as you're a pro, when you a skateboarder at 16. So you're from Ohio, right? How did that even start? How did you to become even the best? How did you come from Ohio to LA and even begin that whole journey?
Yeah, it's a weird place to grow up and become known in skateboarding, but believe it or not, Dayton, Ohio, where I grew up, was the epicenter for the skate culture outside of California. And that was because a young serial entrepreneur by the name of Jimmy George created a skate distribution center there and would throw these big skate contests there. And when I was 11 years old, I called the skate shop because they had a ramp in the back and I had never skated a ramp before. And I asked him, the owner, would you allow me to skate for free if I get 10 people to come and pay to skate? And he was like, what? You can just come down here. And then when I skated the ramp for the first time, he was like, wow, like, you've got real potential. Like if you skated, that's the first time you've ever skated a ramp, you have real potential. And I didn't even know what the word meant. And my parents are trying to explain to me like, oh, like you could be really good at it. But he was a serial entrepreneur. And then I just watched him start company after company, and everybody, as I was getting better and better at becoming a skateboarder, everybody was building companies around me. So I quit high school, became a professional skateboarder, and started my first company right after I moved to California when I was 17.
But what you said is interesting. Like when you were a little kid, like a teenager, you said to this guy, let me go and skate. I was 11. 11 years old. Yeah. You're like, oh, I'll bring 10 people. They'll pay. Like you obviously had something already very entrepreneurial, like a spirit within you to even think of that at 11. But how did you even think of that?
Think about this though. Imagine if he would have been, don't be ridiculous. Why are you calling and asking? If you don't have the money, you can't skate. Right. Imagine how much of a difference that would have built, like by them saying, you don't even worry about it. Come on down. We'll let it do for free. That opened this like belief of like, oh, wow, look what happened. You took a shot and it worked, right? It's like, I like to say that I had these series of events when I was really young. I became really good at soccer. Like I became really good at skateboarding as soon as I tried to do it. I made a cold call, then didn't just skate. I was recognized of like, you have true talent, and was validated even further that I had this possibility to become a professional. Like, so I had this extraordinary foundation of self-belief that the world turned my way in a handful of different things at that very impressionable age that allowed me to begin an evolution of continually growing that belief and taking bigger and bigger shots.
So, but that's interesting because it sounds to me that things came easy for you. You're you're a naturally gifted athlete. If you were really good, you were extraordinary at soccer and at skateboarding. I mean, like you said, it gave you that self-belief. But what was was there anything that you had to work at that you weren't good at, that kind of you didn't have the self-belief, or because you had that self-belief from those things, it gave you the self-belief that you can figure it out on something else?
Well, I continued to just evolve and grow and continue to find success. And I didn't truly lose like self-belief for the first time till I was like 25. And like, if you can imagine, you're born into belief, you've had all the success, and then like in your mid-20s, this super dangerous time when you're really trying to figure it out, like that's when you lose your self-belief. And if you can imagine, you're so used to having it for so long, right. Trying to manage it was this entirely different and foreign experience, because you don't just lose it overnight. You as you begin to lose clarity on where you want to go, and then you begin trying different things and they don't work, and now you lose your way and are unsure of what you should do. That's where you begin to build doubt, which then ultimately can lead to losing belief.
Yeah, absolutely. What happened when you were 25?
I had evolved up into going from professional skateboarder and traveling the world to then having a signature board, then signature shoes, and all of these, now having money, right? I was making a few $100,000 a year, but then I just wasn't satisfied with being a professional skateboarder. My desire, I started a record label and a skate shop, all these businesses that I didn't know how to run that were all failing. And so now it's like my skating is just getting worse and worse because I'm trying to be a business guy, because I'm an entrepreneur. entrepreneur. I started my first company at 17. Like,
what company was that, by the way, at 17?
17 was called Orion Trucks. It was basically the metal part of a skateboard. I was reading a book called The Orion Prophecy about the pyramids being directed at the Orion stars, and there's aliens living there. So I named the company Orion Aluminum, and I hand drew the logo and everything. It was the first pure like brand design and build, put together the entire team, found the manufacturer to put the whole thing together. It was a true like founder build at 17, you know.
And what happened with it? Did you make money off that company?
It's actually still in business to this day, but no, I did that deal, put together like basically.
And you were 17.
Yeah, like the all-star team, the best skaters in the world, designed the entire thing, put the whole thing together for 0.5% of sales. So I was like, oh, I made it. Look at this. I am rich. You know what I mean? I was getting like, $600-700 a month. And it was like, oh, what? Like.
But for 17 years old.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, you got to think, even I was guaranteed like $1,000 a month if I would move from Ohio to California, right? Because at the time, in the first year of being pro, I made $2 one month because I sold one board and got a $2 royalty check. And so for me, when they guaranteed me $1,000 to move to California, it was like, get out of here.
It's like a ton of money.
Man, I felt like I hit the lottery.
Right.
So getting that additional, building that whole company and getting now $600-700 from a truck company, it felt significant. But again, I was, taken advantage of. But that company is still in business to this day, gone through a series of different owners, the IP, but it's the power of that brand and what it meant to skateboarding early on in the 90s that has the longevity to this day.
Right. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the 25-year-old story of how you lost that stuff, but I wanted to kind of
and again, I up until that point, I was trying all these things because I had this much bigger ambition, right? And being a professional skateboarder was not connecting to me to the ambition and the identity that I saw for myself, and so that gap was worsened because I wasn't educated. So now I'm trying all these different businesses with the money I earned from my signature shoes, which was now giving me hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I never bridged the knowledge gap to understand how to actually build and operate and assess businesses from a way where there's a financial opportunity. I was just brand and idea driven.
Right.
And so I'm doing all these different things and losing all this money, then getting introduced to taxes. And then, now I'm operating my life at a loss because I think I'm super rich and I'm spending all this money, but then I got to pay all this taxes and I'm investing all these things. And so now, everything compounds in positive or negative way. And for me, in that case, that I was beginning to compound in a negative way, drinking more because I'm like feeling more lost and taking less care of myself, skating less, like trying to put more energy, trying to will these businesses to work, even though fundamentally they were not constructed in a way where they had the potential to find success, because I didn't even know how to do that. But I said to myself, I'm an entrepreneur. Right. I was raised by entrepreneurs. Like, it's my destiny to do companies. Everyone around me does companies. Like, so I kept thinking my ideas would, if I just kept pushing, they would work and win. And at that point where I had hit rock bottom, none of them had worked. I was told by the owner of DC Shoes at the time, where I had my signature product, that my career was done. The best of my best years were behind me, and that they would give me one more contract and then I could retire and become a shoe designer for the company. And it was like tore the soul out of me and truly, truly put me at like, who am I? Like, what happened? Like, can I even, do I do that? Do I just like hit this check and start thinking about like my next life, my life after skateboarding, But I said to him in that meeting, like, 2 years from now, I'm going to be a completely different human being. Like, I'm not going to be who I am today. And it just locked me in. And then the first thing that I did is I went out and found a clinical psychologist that does hypnosis to like hypnotized me. Well, at the time to be focused on skateboarding, but he did all of this work to be like, look, your subconscious doesn't even believe you're meant to be successful. And so then all of the work at that time was just to reprogram my subconscious that I am meant to find great success.
Okay, that's what I have written that. I wrote that down as a question because I heard you talk about that on your podcast about how you basically, it sounds like you got hypnotized to believe that to be successful.
Correct.
And you actually believe that's the reason why you're successful.
Look, it's the art, science, and magic. You know what I mean? You could say a lot of things about it, right? And I've sent many of people there. You know, and it hasn't worked for everyone, but it has worked for a lot. And,
really, it has worked for other people.
Yeah, and so for me, you could say you could put together any case against why I'm fabricating it or why, you know, it was just happened to be timing, whatever it may be. And there's a lot of forces at play there, right? You hit bottom, you lost belief, you went to this, it redirected you. You had an entirely new mission and guide in life. But what is absolute truth is from that moment on, I just have been on a trajectory.
You skyrocketed.
Like that went from going to the top of skateboarding to writing a concept for the DC video that led to a television show that led to multiple television shows that then led to, creating a professional skateboarding league and cartoons, and then ultimately a business that creates businesses and making hundreds of millions of dollars, you know.
Okay, this is to me so fascinating. Mm-hmm. I literally had to rewind it when I saw you talk about it. I'm like, okay, so in your brain, you said to yourself, okay, you were kind of at rock bottom, and you thought to yourself, maybe I should get hypnotized to feel maybe that will help me. Kind of like how people would go to a hypnotist to get for weight loss or for smoking or for whatever.
Yeah.
So how did you know who to call? Who did this guy do this before with someone else and you kind of heard of him? How did this even happen?
So this is really, it was sort of in the era where there was a lot of sports psychologists talk with different pro athletes trying to, win a major championship or lock in and be more focused, especially tennis and golf athletes. There was a lot of talk of using
performance coaches?
Yeah, performance coaches and hypnosis for performance.
Okay.
And so I just went to the yellow pages because there was no internet. There was no way to search something like this. And I went to the yellow pages and found a hypnotist. Only this hypnotist, the great Dr. George Pratt, was also a clinical psychologist at Scripps La Jolla, the preeminent San Diego medical facility. So to me, I'm like, well, look at this. It's like, he's a psychologist. He's at Scripps. It doesn't get any more legit than this. And he was like, $250 an hour. It was the most outrageous price, for anything of that concept.
Yeah.
And then when I got in there to tell him hey, I need help with my skateboarding is how I went in there. And then he had written all these books for executives called Hyper Success and all these different things of unlocking your potential. And he was like, forget about skateboarding. Let's get to your subconscious and just see if you even believe you're meant to be successful. So it was I didn't go in there of I need someone to change the inside of me because I don't believe I'm gonna be successful. It was what his practice and what he understood guided the session to that. And then this is what we have to work on. And then that's what we did.
Okay, how many sessions did you do with this guy?
Oh, I did it for years. You know what I mean? I was like, let's just keep going. I felt so amazing immediately, and then began to see the results. You know what I mean? And I. This is 25 years deep, and I still take my wife there to him for things. He presided over our vow renewal.
Wow.
When we did our vow renewal, for our 5-year anniversary. He's just this amazing person that's been in my life, who is I am to him this extraordinary
case,
case study, but
case
also
study.
I've been talking about the story for 20 plus years, you know what I mean? And so he still gets such a kick out of it. Like someone will send him this podcast and be like, oh, Rob was talking about you again. You know, it's like had him on one of my shows. Like,
did you really believe, you genuinely believe this is like the reason why this whole thing started?
I'm like, we know the power of the subconscious. Right? Like as we've grown and evolved and practiced personal development and grown and evolved in our own lives, you begin to understand, wow, it's actually the intuitive way that you operate is at the core of how to live a truly harmonious, high quality life. And I see that now much clearer and can tie it all the way back to the importance of, your subconscious self-belief. And that's what he worked on. And then I have had strength in that and grown that strength. That's wavered from time to time. Do
you still see him, by the way?
No.
Okay. When did you stop seeing him?
I want to say I took my wife down there who was like really struggling with anxiety about driving at night. And I was like, hey, can you just check me to make sure that I'm going to be a billionaire? He's like, all right, come over here. He's like, oh, stop it. Of course you are. I
love it.
It was like the most amazing interaction of like the most random, like, can you even check like that? No, that my subconscious belief that I believe I'm going to be a billionaire. He's like, come over here. You know, he does like this technique. He's oh, stop it. Of course, you know, you're going to be a billionaire.
Yeah. Do you believe you're going to be a billionaire? You probably are almost.
Look, yeah. I mean, I think at this level, when you generate this level of wealth, but then you know exactly how you generated it, and then you've tracked it and its growth, and then you've began to understand ways to grow it in rapid ways, conservative ways, and all of these things together, then it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Based off of, the handful of things, which would include market cycles, and then ultimately the businesses you build and the rate that they accelerate. But yeah, I don't think there would be a world where I wouldn't be.
No, and the fact that but again, it comes back to that self-belief, right? Because if you didn't have that belief, it reframes how you think.
Look, but at this point, this isn't just self-belief.
Right.
This is deep understanding.
And data.
And insight and data and mastery.
Yeah, and mastery. So you know what this says to me and says to everybody is that you have to take agency of how you want your lit life to be. So like there's this whole thing about like, going to find yourself. I believe you need to create yourself, and you need to create yourself systematically like you're doing by putting the right steps in place. If you're just throwing a lot of shit at the wall and hoping something sticks, it's not, some things you may get lucky with here and there, but it's not really, the chances are not for you. But wait, before we even get into because I know that what you also believe is that when you start to understand money and how that piece of it really also kind of put everything on overdrive too, right? Not just, but before we I want to get back to the hypnotist thing. So then is this guy super busy now because of you? Like, is he just booked?
Oh, he's always been booked. He's always been pretty significant.
What's his name again?
Dr. George Pratt.
Okay.
So yeah, I think he's like semi-retired at this point. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think he's been catching the Rob wave for a really long time. But he was a significant, like, well-known doctor in the space way before I had even met him. He's one of the pioneers because he is a highly educated psychologist that blended a lot of the, like, more, cutting edge, like, techniques that aren't like, you're not stare at the thing, like, it's not like hypnosis, like, balk like a chicken,
right?
You know what I mean? It's really much more like chakra points and like nervous system stuff to try to get your subconscious to reprogram itself. Did
he help your wife with the anxiety for the night driving? Did it work?
It didn't. She can do it, but it didn't completely eliminate it, but it allowed her to get back in the car and do it. The anxiety's there, but she just couldn't do it anymore. Like, couldn't even drive at night.
Right.
And it really changed that for her, from at least being able to do it, but still it's hard on her, Is this type of thing something that people have to do more?
regularly, or is it something that you can do once and really see a significant change?
Yeah, look, I don't, I can't sit here and say that it's like, I don't practice it to this day. I don't preach it to this day. This is the most depth I've spoken about it.
Really?
Ever. You know what I mean? Like normally normally I do it's like a quip in my past that I kind of talk about. Like I don't ever go super deep into it, but
I'm super interested in these things.
But again, to me, in hindsight, it's more about intention than anything.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I got clarity, got intentional, and began to work towards clear outcomes that would create a better life, a better future experience. And that intention is what then allowed the universe to open up and present something like him to me that then reinforced that I was on the right path, that allowed me to continue to evolve towards these things I wanted to achieve, learn more about them, get clearer plans, clearer strategies as I get closer and closer to them, to then achieve them and have a new one right behind it that allowed me to continue to grow into a great skateboarder, a top 10 skateboarder in the world, to then television and create this entirely new universe for myself.
So then after this whole thing, that was happening. How did, because I love the story about how you became you're a shoe designer, but the way you created that business for the royalty situation. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about that? And was that after the hit? What year was that? Like, how old were you then when that happened?
It was the same era.
Okay.
And so, at the time, like I really fell in love with shoe design. Right. And so I got to design my own signature shoe. And so I had to be you only have one shot at the shoe each year. So you got to really make it special, because it's the difference between making 50,000 and 500,000. So it was really important that I try to design these great shoes. So in that process, I got really good at designing what would sell really well. So in my contract negotiation, I said, how about I would like my signature shoe, but let me go through the same process that all the designers go through. And if my shoes get picked, I get a 2% royalty instead of my signature 5% or 2.5. And they were like, sure, why not? He does great shoes. Like, what do we got? What do we care? Like, worst case scenario, we have best selling other shoes. And so then I went over the top, because the way it used to work is like the designers, who get paid, 70, 80 grand a year, who this is their entire livelihood. They present their shoes, and then the sales and the executive team will pick them. I would go in there and just razzle dazzle everybody. I would do these crazy presentations and thesis on the entire design concept. So all the salespeople, all the people that work there are like, oh, this is like Rob's stuff. It's so cool. I just sold it in so heavy. And at one point I had a third of the line in 30 plus shoes that I was getting paid off of. And when the company was acquired, and now, of course, I'm making millions in shoe royalties. And then when the company was the diligence where the company was getting acquired by Quicksilver, they were like, why is this pro skater getting paid all this money off of all these shoes?
Right.
And it was like an issue, because when you run the company, it makes no sense. You wouldn't give designers
that much money.
You're basically giving away this huge chunk of the margin in all these shoes, especially these more mainstream shoes. And so when the company was acquired, they let me know that I would no longer be allowed to do this, and that they were going to run out all of my current designs and replace them with other designs, because they're not going to pay this royalty in perpetuity.
I mean, yeah, no kidding. Then how did the whole TV, the ridiculous? I was saying to you, I feel like the only show that MTV has is Ridiculousness. I mean, it plays literally 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
That is the show. And I feel that
1.5 billion hours viewed last year. It's the most watched television show ever. In the United States. Per year on cable. Obviously no one on network would watch that much, but on cable, yeah.
Do you know, I don't know if you know this, but someone who I work with, when we were talking yesterday about you coming on, she said to me that there are literally chat rooms about your show being like, there's like, they go back and forth of why this show is so popular. Like just why? Like why is this show like in marathon 24 hours a day? Like I think it's become like literally a case study, a phenomenon, because what do you think it is about the show?
Yeah.
Like that makes it that way. I mean, just on that show alone, by the way, like people usually have like one little thing, not one thing, but like that in itself, having your name attached to would be like its own thing. The fact that you have all these other things and this is just like a sliver in the pie is just mind blowing to me. But anyway.
But look, this I'll give you, because this is the art, science, and magic of it. You know what I mean? Because think about this. I originally like came up with the concept after reading an article in the Hollywood Reporter about Vinny DeBona and his $500 million syndication business with America's Funniest Home Videos.
Right.
So then I'm like, man, I should just make a faster, cooler version for MTV. I took an America's Funniest Home Videos, stripped it all, took out all the unfunny videos and all the high action videos, and I used my Xbox, and because I could control it and rewind it and point it out, and I put it into little segments, almost the heart of what the show even is today, like as how I pitched it when I very first pitched it. And I wanted that because I didn't want to shoot reality. Because it was like shooting Rob and Big and like how difficult it was. It would just take months and months and people in my house and like all this. It just sucked the life out of me.
Yeah.
But I loved what TV did for all my brands and my businesses and everything that I was doing, that media platform. And it's like, how could I do something that's more controlled and way easier? And that's what really initially led me to develop that and pitch that. But then MTV came back and said, no, we'll pay you $125,000 an episode if you do your own reality show. And that's why I created Fantasy Factory first, because they were only offering me $30,000 an episode to shoot Ridiculousness. So I created Fantasy Factory as long as they would give me the rights to the integration. And at the time, they didn't think anything of it. So then I built the show around my businesses and brand integrations. So not only did I get the $125,000 an episode, but then I made millions with Chevy and Microsoft and Monster and all these different brand deals that I would do and integrate their product in the show. And MTV couldn't stop it because I had the rights before I'd ever committed to the deal. So even that had a life on it, to where you got to think I'm getting attacked by sharks and flipping cars and doing like, that was a way more hardcore stunt like level show. And so
that shark thing is insane. And the tiger thing.
Yeah, tiger, shark, like jockeying horses.
Weren't you scared of the shark?
Yeah, it's like this, all the stunts I was scared of, and they were all dumb the day of. Everyone was like, this isn't even funny. Like, why am I doing this?
Right,
like, this is like this is good, not even good for TV. And then when it's over, it's like, got attacked by a shark.
Yeah.
Just got towed into a giant wave and almost died by Laird Hamilton. Look at that. I just jumped a monster truck 60 feet in front of 40,000 people through an exploding RV. Like, when they're done, it's genius and amazing. The day of, this is so dumb. Why would I even do this, right?
No kidding.
Especially like when I was like really beginning to develop the machine and push that to the next level. And now I'm breaking the world record for jumping a car backwards 100 feet. And I'm like, why am I here again? Why am I even putting myself at risk? I have this clear vision of like how I want to live the rest of my life. And here I am strapped in to like for a Chevy deal, doing breaking the world record for jumping a car backwards. This isn't even funny. And then wow. And then like, that was amazing. Look at me. I just broke a world record for jumping a car backwards, right? But I digress.
But so extraordinary. Like, your life is so extraordinary. The fact, and also you're good at this is the thing that I think that you kind of glaze over. You're good naturally at a lot of things. You know how to design. I mean, most people are not good at even one thing.
Yeah.
You're obviously you're a good athlete, you know how to design, you're very creative, you can do stunts. I mean, like, you are kind of gifted in a lot of ways, and you just took that and like put it on like major steroids.
But think about it. It's not even a gift. You have the ability to look at everything and break it down into a handful of things that you've got to learn to be able to do it.
True.
Then once you figure out how to do it, now it's all about getting better at it. rather than struggling to lead. Like, how do I even do it? And then trying it and it not working and then building doubt and then quitting. I had the ability to see what I would need to learn, and then the dedication to learn it to where it can become intuitive or automated, where the optimization can kick in, which I later realized and ultimately then built an entire philosophy of the way that I live my life today, where I essentially look at everything at how do I design, automate, and optimize it on an ongoing basis and perpetually evolve into my limitless potential. That's how I've been able to guide my evolution through all these years. And then when I discovered what actually occurred over all these years and then bottled it up into a system, then I rapidly evolved right into the level that I'm in today, which was only, 6 years that I got here. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I rapidly got to this space, but I digress.
Yes. I'm so excited about the automation. I'm literally in my chair, holding on.
Look, I've taken you on a long journey to get back to ridiculousness.
Yes. No, but I like it. I think it's also, it's so fascinating to people. That show is so massive beyond.
Yeah. And look, so this is what happened with the show. So, okay, it has a great concept and you eventually bring it to market. It finds success, but it's very difficult, a lot harder to do than you realized.
Oh, wait, can I ask you a question I didn't ask you? In your integration deals with Chevy, how much were you getting per integration?
Oh, I mean, when I did the Chevy deal was a $5 million deal.
Okay.
And they sponsored my professional skateboarding league that I launched. It was a Super Bowl commercial. It was the series premiere of season 5 of Fantasy Factory. It was like a tour of car shows, right? It was this multi-platform mega deal. And then I had to go and flip a car.
And that was part of the $5 million deal.
Yeah. And it's like, what? This ain't worth it. When I get there, it's like, I really, no front wheel car had ever, or rear wheel drive, front wheel drive car had never been flipped because the weight ratio, it doesn't allow it to flip. So we built these ramps that were at angles. And then, I had to go exactly 43 miles an hour. Otherwise, I would come up short if I was 42. If I did 44, I'd overshoot the mark of the ramp. I'm like, how did we get here? What? And then I couldn't line up the front wheel because they didn't just have a ramp. It was 2 tracks that I had to line up. So I had to put tape on the windshield. And then I had to close one eye in order to line it up. And then it was 42, 43, 42, 43, 42, boom. And then you're just flipping. And then when that thing came down and it worked and you're driving away, it's like, what? But that was, you couldn't back out. Even though they didn't figure it out, it never worked. And their test cars, I just had to go for it because I had already gotten millions of dollars to develop it. I was getting paid all the money. It was all of that. I had gone and built that entire deal, yet you have to do the one thing that hinges it and put your life on the line to do some absurd stunt in order for the whole thing to even matter.
Oh my gosh.
So you can't back out, you know what I mean? And that's sort of the process. But all of those deals, some, they were all multi-million-dollar deals that layered over top of each other, and some long-term, short-term partnerships. And then I integrated each of them into my foundation. Microsoft helped me build skate parks. Carl's Jr. helped me build skate parks. I had a foundation that would build skate parks. So I would do a mega deal, talent deal for myself, the production side of it, and then always donate to my foundation at the time. And then would use the media platform that was MTV's, and they were livid. The sales team hated it because it'd be they had have no access to the media because they gave me the rights. And of course, that doesn't exist today. It was really killed off when Bethany Frankel did Skinny Girl. Yeah. That was the nail in the coffin of where no brands, no integration for talent. This is we should be making all this money. It's our platform.
Yeah.
Basically the Jersey Shore merch, Skinny Girl, and then Rob's owning the outright integration was the end of it and never happened on TV again.
Yeah, that's right. The Skinny Girl was the last straw for that.
Yeah.
So basically all this money you made for that show, $5 million from Chevy, you probably made, so how many episodes was it for Fantasy Factory?
I did 8 seasons. I don't know exactly how many.
So and each episode had an integration of $5 million.
Yeah, well,
so you can just
it varied.
Yeah. 2 million, 5 million, doesn't matter at that point. And MTV wasn't making any of those integration. That was all going to you.
They would get some of the like Chevy would spend some ad dollars and run ads on the network that they would get. So they would eat a little bit off of it. You know what I mean? So
a crumb here or there.
Yeah, but none of the integration dollars. No.
That's great. Okay, so now let's get into the ridiculousness. Okay, so because how it became the phenomenon. So continue.
And so ultimately, here's this show that's much easier for me to do, but it was still. Man, it would take all day, and when I'd have to do so much pre-production to get the shows ready, and then when we shoot them, it would take like 4 or 5 hours to shoot the show. We would shoot for an hour and a half, and then do a voiceover, then take a lunch break, and I would shoot two a day. I'd get there at 8 and leave at 6 or 7, and then like I would do that like 4 or 5 days a week for like all month, and it would tear the soul out of me. And then I would be like exhausted, and then go right back to shooting Fantasy Factory again, right on top of doing all my businesses and everything. And that's when I really began to be like, I can't do this anymore unless we can really begin to optimize this and figure out a way for this to take less and less time. And then we got rid of the voiceover, got rid of clips, and we're now able to do 2 shows before we go to lunch. So now I'm getting there at 9 and leaving at like 2 or 3 to do 2 shows. So that became more streamlined, like easier for me to do. Then I started spreading out the shooting schedule and just shooting 3 days a week. So it was taxing me, but not as bad, and what was happening in cable at the time was, cable was basically flattening out, right? So streaming was emerging and YouTube was emerging at this deep scale. So now it's fragmenting into short form content or watch it on demand. And so cable's starting to struggle. And so now these big dollar cable shows are all failing, and they're trying all these scripted things and different cable networks and all this thing. But what just kept cooking was the ridiculousness, because it sits almost in both worlds, where you can sit and watch it like without needing to know any storyline, and you could watch for a few hours straight, and it has the same sort of simplicity that the short form content, with the same viewing habits as streaming, right? So it ended up in this super unique world, and then it became like, it kind of hit a wall for them because the show had gotten so expensive, right? Yeah. But at this time, I had basically built a strategy and a plan to build and sell the production company that produced the show. So I now had a much deeper insight to the cost structure of the show. And then they basically said, we can't do it anymore unless we get the price reduced. And then all of us basically stripped out the production, took pay cuts, and went from shooting 30 episodes at a time to 168 at a time. And so then when we did that, now I went deep into efficiency, and I went from like doing everything I can to begin to optimize all aspects of it, from how I prep for it, from how how much we would shoot, how many videos were in this, all this stuff. So I took it all the way down to where I would shoot 6 a day. And each one would take me 28 minutes to shoot. And I would be able, with prep time and shooting 6 a day, I would be able to get it down to around 5 hours. That's where I got it to. So now if you can imagine, I shoot 252 episodes a year. And as you may have heard, I track all my time, and that to shoot the 252 episodes a year is only 4% of my time, because I shoot 4 times a week for 10 and a half months, or 4 times a month for 10 and a half months each year. So I spread it out so that it never wears me out. Then I have it so optimized that it's so easy to shoot. And what had happened is the reason they want 252 a year was because of the fact that as that was emerging, that it had this sort of streaming / virality YouTube concept around it, that the more they played it, the more people watched it. And so then it was like, well, shoot, the more we play it, the higher the ratings are on the overall company, the more money we're making. We're going to basically just build this as our base because people will watch it for big blocks at a time on an ongoing basis. It doesn't matter. Just give us as many as you can. And then I'm now committed to shooting 336 a year,
God, are you serious?
It's within the exact amount of time, because the way I was able to, all I had to do to shoot 336 was go from shooting 6 a day to 8 a day. And in order to do that in a more efficient, faster time, I took out one package out of Act 2, and that gave me 5 minutes back. And then we don't do outfit changes between episodes 1 and 2, 2 and 4, 4 and 6, and 6 and 8. And I can now shoot 8 in the exact amount of time that I shot 6, but it made 33% more income to me, 33% more income to the production company, all of that, right? And then since I built it to sell, in that process of evolution and magic of the cable world collapsing and then me getting more and more efficient to where I could shoot such scale and they would want it because the audience wants it, that then I sold the production company for $190 million. That doesn't even include the talent money that I get from it, and that will get for years to come, you know.
I mean, did you also just renewed the deal, right? Like,
yeah.
So you're making about what, $300 million just from that alone, that show?
Yeah.
I mean, just on that alone.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, so then how did you learn getting it? Now, this is like what I'm just beyond fascinated with. How did you even, so was that the kind of I guess, the catalyst for you to think, oh shit, I really need to optimize my life because I need to like figure out a way to kind of do this show, have my life in balance? Was that the catalyst, that production schedule for you?
No, had nothing to do with it. I would have never even been able to create that if I hadn't of decided the most important thing I needed to do in 2012 and 13 was to design life. Right. Because didn't matter what the money was, didn't matter what, at the time, I didn't want to shoot TV anymore. In 2013, 14, I didn't want to shoot Ridiculous anymore. I didn't want to do Fantasy Factory anymore. These things wore me out. And like it was, you know, really where my sort of rock bottom in that era is I had all of these different things going and I just was high and low and boom and bust and like, just keep going, do another thing. One of them's going to be so big that's going to be the thing that gives you the wealth and success that you've tied to what you believe your identity is and what you're meant to create. I thought I had to just keep going, couldn't keep a relationship, was unhappy, but it didn't matter. I would eventually make so much money. Then I would find the happiness, right? Mm-hmm. And at the time, you know, I had my professional skateboarding league, my cartoon on Nickelodeon, all these different companies, my signature products, my brand deals, Fantasy Factory, Ridiculousness, all this stuff at once. But I was just booming and busting and trying another thing and everything, like work hard, play hard, burn out, get sick of it all, hate it all. And then I eventually was approached by an investment group that was like, we would like to potentially look at investing in you and being your partner to turn you into the billionaire we know you're meant to be. And I'm like, finally, somebody recognizes like the talent I got in here and they're going to help me. And so the idea was we're going to value me at $100 million at the time and invest $50 million. I got to take $30 million off the table, invest $20 million into my company, and then they would steward me to my destiny of wealth. And when they did the diligence on how I ran everything, they were basically like, you're uninvestable. We will loan you money that you have to pay back at this 15% interest rate. And then if we can figure out how to turn you into a business person, then we have the right to own half of you for life. And I was like, it was this another huge awakening that I didn't understand money, that I was just continuing to do things, but had no clear strategy of what life it was leading to me or what life I wanted out of it. And then I began the journey of like, you have to understand what you want out of life. And I found a book called Start at the End, which was a business book that essentially, I joked that like I just read the introduction and it changed my life. I never even read the book. It was just, if you are going to create a business, decide the success outcome of that business before you start, then build your plan backwards to get there. And then I was like,
reverse engineer, basically.
Reverse engineer it, right? And for me, I had just never thought of like, decide the outcome. But then I said, I'm not going to do that with a business. I'm going to do that for my life. And then I began the process of designing my life, and then the world began to open up, right? I began to meet all these different consultants and different people, and then I realized I didn't fully understand money. Now I got to build a strategy of like, why do I want money? Well, it's really like the way of life that I live. I like to live this certain way. And then, okay, well, like what's the pain in your life? Well, it's not sustainable because I have to keep investing in everything and I'm only talent and like, unless I have some giant payday, well, what does that even mean? Like, what would you do with the payday? Like I had to ask myself all these questions of like, what type of person do you want to be? I want to be a father and a husband, but the way that I live is not conducive to the person that I know I'm meant to be with for the rest of my life. I had to change who I was and in order to have the energy to even attract my wife. And I was ready by the time she got there because I was building my entire existence around how do I grow from a balanced state into the ideal version of myself, rather than think that I'm going to some financial thing or some like person's going to come help me. Oh, I'm going to meet my wife. Then I'll become balanced. Then I'll become like harmonious. Instead, I designed what was at the time a balanced, harmonious, healthy existence. And then I began to grow into the ideal version of myself. And that controlled evolution from a harmonious state is what then guided me into the things I needed to learn, like how my goals continued to evolve as I grew into them, how the clarity and understanding of who I was getting clearer and sharper. So my plans were getting sharper and clearer, and who I wanted to be, then I am now the person that I know that the person I want to be with forever would want to be with. And then I meet my wife, and now I begin to see forever. And then she's into personal development, and I had done no personal development up to that point. And then Tony Robbins reaches out to me because he had written the book Money Master the Game, and she was super into Tony Robbins. I'm like, well, this is good. This will impress her. and then I read the book, and it changes my entire understanding and view on money. That then how I just didn't understand money despite being a serial entrepreneur. All these things came together that allowed me to have a vision for not a one thing that would make me successful, but what successful life was for me. And then what are all the things in my existing world that fit into that now, and how can I use them or get rid of them that's going to serve helping me evolve and grow into this ideal version of myself. And I built a plan all the way down to what I would do with the money, how much money I wanted, and all this stuff. And then I began to look at my world, and I decided, hey, I'm going to build a business that builds businesses because I love creating businesses, but operating them takes too much out of me. I have too many businesses that I operate. I want to create a system for consistently building and selling businesses. And then I marched off on that journey. And then, okay, what's your biggest opportunity to do that in? Well, now you got this television show, right? So now I'm taking this more methodic, systematic approach to everything. And then you look at that show not as a burden anymore, but well, how can I use this to be my first company that I build and sell inside my new system of my company that builds companies from idea to acquisition, right? Everything began to change perspective as what it meant to me. So now working and doing the show had a completely different energy for me. So then it was like, okay, you have to do this show because this show is going to lead you to accomplish your goal. You're doing it from a balanced state. How do you make it more efficient to take less energy so you can still reap the rewards without sacrificing any of your time and energy, and then continue to optimize. And then it gets to just a level of mastery where it becomes almost effortless.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there is no energy exchange. And then the universe kicks in, cable flattens out, you end up doing all these more, then the company works, then you sell the company, then you make all this. It's like, it's just a single thing that ended up being something you didn't want to do in 2015 and 16 because you didn't want to be 40 and be on MTV anymore. Right. And now
like that Kurt guy or whatever his name is.
You know what I mean? I'm the new Kurt Loader. and now you've evolved to this place where it's just, you grew it beyond even your wildest dreams from this deeply harmonious state. And that's the thing that I preach the most is like, you can't work hard to fulfill your dreams. Like you have to work efficiently. You have to be healthy and balanced and give yourself time to reflect in order to learn the lessons that are happening on an ongoing basis so that you can evolve into a better version of yourself on an ongoing basis from a place of harmony, not a place of struggle. Like you want to struggle into harmony and then build your existence from there. And it's a paradigm that doesn't exist because everybody thinks like, you got to hustle till it finally works. And then if you keep hustling, like then you have enough money to hire people to where you can do this and that. Like you have to build balance and then get better and better and better at being balanced.
So this is amazing. So what's the first step to build balance? And what was the first step that you did to build the systematic approach?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's like when I was going through the process of learning everything there was to building a company. This is sort of what I did initially in the process of when I was developing the Dyrdek Machine. I just wanted to build a system to build companies. And a really interesting part of building a company is the rhythm of company, right? It's sort of this cadence that, you do weekly stand-ups, you have monthly financials, there's this rhythm to it. And I was like, wow, I want to create a rhythm of my existence because the truth is like your balance is found in the rhythm and the cadence and the flow state of how you operate your life. So the very first step in actually having a balanced and healthy life is designing your time. You know what I mean? Like you've got to actually design and dedicate the time. And then it's an ongoing thing. I am continually and forever assessing my time and getting better and better at designing it and redesigning it and getting more efficient in all aspects of my life. But it starts with like developing out your year and really if it is, I need to work out. I need to do this. I want to spend time with my kids. I want to do this. I want to have a vacation here. Here's when birthdays are. Here's when Valentine's are. Here's where the holidays are. There's this cadence that you can begin to build in. And when you begin to design your time and live in that rhythm, that's the first state of taking control of how you feel. And then for me, the big thing that I learned from the group that helped me develop the Rhythm of Existence, a consultancy, was like, there's the founder of it, brilliant guy by the name of Chris Smith. He was like, you should use qualitative data to give you insights into this aspect of your life. And so I started just tracking every day, 0 to 10, how I felt about my life, work, and health. In this qualitative self-awareness, where you ask yourself, how do I feel about my life today? And you feel low. And why? Oh, it's like got into a fight with this person again. Like, I keep thinking about money. I don't know what this is. You think there's all of these things that are disrupting your rhythm of your life and your mind share and all these things, but really it ends up being 5 or 6 major things that constantly bring you down. And it becomes so clear to you when you ask yourself every day, 0 to 10, how you feel about your life, health, and work. And then you begin to see the same thing that's bringing you down. You're like, okay, I need to change that. It's obvious. And then you begin to do that over time. You will eventually clear out all things that ever ever bring you down. And that process of designing time and using qualitative data on an ongoing basis is what allowed me to rapidly evolve in a harmonious state and just get happier and happier and happier and more balanced and more successful and more clear in my planning and all of these things. And I have it in numbers. Like I could show you like how much happier I am. And then the craziest thing is when I started tracking, like, did I get up at 5? Did I brain train? Did I meditate? Did I get in the gym? Did I eat clean? Did I not drink? Like you would see a direct correlation of the percentage that I would do that in my qualitative numbers of how I felt about my life, health, and work.
Where is he done? Like, what are you what are you tracking it on? Like you said, this consultancy company helped you.
Yeah, well, they built the Rhythm of Existence.
What is that? What's the Rhythm of Existence?
The Rhythm of Existence is essentially the operating model or operating system for my life. It's like a 40-page document that has all of my systems of how I operate my life. And, essentially I just have...
Give me an example of what you mean by that.
It sort of has like today I got up at 4 a.m. Okay.
Do you always get up at 4 a.m.?
Yeah, sometimes I get up at 3:30. But I get up between 4 and 5. If I go to bed at like 8:30, I'll get up at 3:30. But I went to bed at 8:30 last night, but I got up at 4 this morning. But then there's all of these systems that I implement, right? So today, I just immediately got to work with some deeper book work that I'm doing with my philosophy. But then I did a 5:30 a.m. call with my chief of staff since I had sort of a more packed day today. I wanted to get caught up on sort of our core systems that include getting all the presents built and all these things that I need to do with my wife and choosing the presents, presenting me with all the presents for my parents and the stuff that I want to get for that. All these things that normally would take time that are automated through my chief of staff.
So they show you the presents you're going to get.
Yeah. So they would just show me a document with all these options. Okay, let's go with this, this, and this. You know what I mean? To clear that out so I can get that done rather than like worrying about my family and all these things that I would need to buy for my sister and my nephew and all these different things.
You delegate to elevate.
That's it. And so then every single morning I send my wife an email with a love quote of everything that's happening that day. And now that was created in the system because she would get lost in where I was, right? So by doing that, that gives her insight to everything that I'm doing that day and where it is and how it kind of feels and knows where I'm going to be. So she's never lost on what I'm doing because she would just hear me talk about stuff and have never heard of it, right? And
so you said there like a schedule also with the love quote, like kind of the schedule of what you're doing that day.
Yeah, it's a schedule of the entire day.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
And with the love quote. That I personalize that takes a little bit more effort, and then I brain train.
What's brain train? I know
I use Lumosity, just the app, and for me, it's like it's about 10 minutes where you just do these games, and I only use it for the sharpness. So if I track my sleep score and readiness score with the Aura Ring, like the readiness score means a lot to me. Of like, okay, just assessing these numbers, right? And then when I brain train, I can tell how good my brain is working every morning by how efficiently I do the games. So I'm only using it to kind of triangulate against diet and sleep or stress, right? Because what will affect my ability to operate the next day is almost primarily some sort of incoming stressful disruptor, even if it's small. It really affects me because I'm so optimized and the system's so sensitive, So I just do it sort of as a measure, and then I meditate in a Soma Dome, which is a meditation pod with a guided meditation, but I literally only listen to a guided meditation about manifestation. And then I just sit in my forever estates that I'm building. And today I was like signing books of when my book come out to each individual. I just picture these feelings and experiences that I want to feel in the future is what I do every morning. It's just trying to project myself, Dr. Joe Dispenza style, into the future. You
don't listen to him though, right? The Joe Dispenza. That's not, but it's like that
no,
type
yeah,
of style.
Yeah. You know, of just like trying to
so
plant it.
You're going so quickly. There's so many things. That's like you're
I'll just rip through the morning. Then you can get there.
Okay.
Then
This is just the morning. It's like not even 5 o'clock in the morning.
Then at 6:45, I wake the kids up, usually with song and dance. You know what I mean? Some sort of like over the top. And of course, today we had to go find Chippy and Snowflake, the elves.
How old are your kids, by the way?
5 and 6. Okay. And so then while they eat breakfast, I did a call with my COO because I had an extraordinary breakthrough this morning that I wanted to share with him. Then I took my...
Do you want to share it with us too?
It would be a whole episode in itself.
Okay.
And then just to show you where there's planned and fluidity in it, right? Where I still like, normally I do my chief of staff call at 9:30, but like because I had the day around, hey, let's move it to 5:30. I'm going to get up at 4, work, and then go where I keep, even though I've designed it in this rhythm, I still keep this deep fluidity in it. And then take my son to school, come back, trainers at the house, train for an hour, then take my daughter to school. And then Thursdays today is breakfast date with the wife. So then I took my wife to the deli and we had breakfast together. And then...
At what time is breakfast?
And then breakfast today was 9:30. Right. So that was because for me, it doesn't work to just do a date night. We do movie night, we do sushi night, we do talk night, we do pasta night, we do breakfast date. And then later today, we do the family sync where her assistant, my chief of staff, and my assistants, we all get together and we have this living document where we go through every single thing that's going on in our entire lives to either problem solve or handle, to get on the same page. At this time, we go through my schedule and share everything I'm doing for 3 weeks so that like she has any visibility on like anything missing in there that she doesn't know about. And again, it was because something would pop up and she would forget, it would pop up the day of in a schedule, like, oh, I'm having people over to watch the UFC tonight. She'd be like, what? I had no idea. Even though I gave it in the schedule. And so instead of being like, oh, cut me, I do work so hard to give you all the detail. I told you about it 3 weeks ago. Instead of that, okay, let's add a new system in place. And so the system is in our weekly syncs with our family sync to keep everything organized. Let's add going through the entire calendar and all the things that you might need to know about. And again, just continually reducing friction inside. Every time there is friction inside the system, solution or system added to it. You know what I mean? So that continues to be optimized and better over time.
No, this is,
but that's
incredible.
All up to that's just Thursday.
That's just exactly. Well, that's what this is like to me. Okay, wait. So it can sound very rigid, right? I know you say there's a lot of flow in there and his ability to kind of move around. But it also, it makes it so things actually get done properly and things are not falling through the cracks, which is most people's lives, right? That's why I'm sitting here listening so intently, because no matter who you are, you can glean so much just from that morning that you just said. I have a lot of questions though. I'm so sorry. I know you're on a major, I don't know, how long did you allot for me today? Because I know you're on a crazy.
And so even for this, right? Yeah. So even for this, I know that the odds are that we're most likely not going to talk for an hour block. I'm going to get there and go. So I put a few hours behind this.
Thank God.
Right? I put a few hours behind this and flexibility behind this, because I know how these go with people that really understand this the way that I'm operating, and these tend to roll long. So I add I call it workflow, and I put the cushion up into the next thing that I have to do is pick my kids up from school, right? And so even though, and to give you context, I like to call it the time matrix, but if you do something for an hour a day, it's 4% of your life. when I shoot all that television, it's 4% of my life. It's the equivalency of an hour a day. And for me, you know, when I compare watching, you know, TV at night with my wife every single night.
Do you?
Yeah. That it's, you know, I'm giving up 4% of my life there, but I'm like hanging out with my wife, watching these like fun things and decompressing. I spend, you know, an hour and a half a day picking my kids up and taking them from school. So I'm not looking everything, although it's rigid, it's mastery. It's effortless for me.
Yeah.
I didn't think like, oh, I gotta meditate today. Like, oh, right. I am living in this deeply high energetic state and everything is so intentional. Then everything around me is automated and all the people are automated. All the systems are automated. So it's taking no effort from me, no energy.
Totally.
And then if I'm worn out, like, you know, or my wife, like I move my schedule like around my wife all the time. Like even like we couldn't go see Violent Night tonight because it would have been too late, the only showing. So I moved the whole day around and it showed yesterday at 5. So I cleared off the end of my schedule at the end of the day so that I could go take her to the movies and then rescheduled, right? Because there's nothing, I don't allow the rigidness to ever dictate what my energy needs or what's best for me, right? But for the most part, I've designed it in a way that this is the best thing for me.
Yeah.
Getting up really early, doing all these things make me feel amazing. Like get free working in the morning before anybody gets up is when I can get my deepest work done. So it's like I pop awake, can't wait to get to working on all the stuff that I'm doing. So it's like it's not built to trap me, because a lot of people will build schedules, will have responsibilities in companies, create ideas that now integrate into a system that locks them down. And then you can't ever take the time to design your time because you don't have time. So you just keep going from thing to thing to thing that you have to do. And if you don't take the time to design the life that you want, you will never get to do the things you want to do because you'll always be doing what you have to do, you know.
That is so beautifully said. I could not agree with you more. And there's intention behind it all. And it also, okay, so wait. So you wake up at 4, the Sonodome, I mean, that's like, how does someone, I'm not a meditator. It's really hard for me, actually. I did try that like for me to shut my mind, I'm thinking about all the things I have to do. I've tried everything. So like I've found running to be the closest thing to that, but you know, it can be hard on your joints eventually. But I did try that Sonodome. But what's another, I mean, that's.
Where did you try it?
I tried it in
Westlake Village?
No, I tried it at
Sports Academy?
No, I think it was at the either at the Carillon in Miami had it, this wellness place I went, or it was in Arizona at another wellness place in Sedona, I think it was.
Yeah.
And even then it was hard for me because I was like thinking, they give you all these different things that you can like listen to. Mm-hmm. And I'm still thinking, maybe I have to train my brain first to get the ability to even go into that thing. Yeah.
And look, it's not meditation in the traditional sense, I think, for me.
It's not, no.
You know, because I could never meditate either. And it was like the audacity of dedicating time to try to like slow down, like seemed impossible.
Yes.
And what happened? Like I listened to this podcast with my cousin and it was with Joe Dispenza and like the power of meditation. I'm like, God, I need to meditate. And then the internal medicine specialist that I had that does all my blood work and all this stuff was coming to my house that same day that I was like, I need to meditate, and was explaining to her about meditation. She's like, oh, you should try the Somodome. Yeah. Like, I'm doing the clinical studies for the CEO. I'll introduce you. And then like I went and tried the Somodome and I'm like, okay, I can commit to this. Yeah. Because now it's like, it's taking me on a journey. I have to go in and get in it and live in it.
It's like a pod.
That's it. So it's like, I needed it to be, rather than sit on a cushion and breathe deep and try to like center. And then I believe I don't even use it in the sense of what I think traditional meditation is. I'm using it to manifest. And for me, like even in the meditative state of running or, other things, like me being in the sauna and being in the shower, like I have a notepad in the shower, a notepad in the sauna. It's like all of these places. Yeah, there's an Aqua Note. You should get one. They're amazing. Aqua Notes.
I need a pen.
I'm
going to listen to this episode.
Look, Aqua Notes is like the sickest thing ever, where it's like a waterproof pad and pencil. So like when you're in the shower and they come, like you can just like lay them all out and you still have it. But
That's brilliant.
But I have them everywhere. So I really believe, and I refer to it as sort of being in the future present state on an ongoing basis. Like I toggle between, like creating the future in my mind and experiencing the present is the state that I really try to stay in, because for me, I look at your mind share as the most important thing you have to live a balanced and harmonious life. And so learning how to control your mind share and where your mind drifts is essential to that. And so for me, I talk a lot about the structure of the mind, which is essentially on either end, you have dwell and anger or worry and wish, right? And if you're worrying about it or wishing something was different, you're taking no action. If you're dwelling or being angry, you're taking no action. Then you pop into the middle, which is either creating the future or rectifying the past. And in the middle is experience. So as long as you are taking action, your entire experience of life that you're sitting here today is based off of every decision you've made in the past. And so anything that comes up, you need to rectify in order to get back to feeling more present. And you want to get to a place where that doesn't happen very often. And then you really want to toggle between creating the future and experiencing the present. Living in this continual future present state is how you continue to use your mind to create the thoughts that turn into the actions and the decisions that lead to a better future experience. Is all going to happen in your mind within your time based off of the energy and your personal capacity. So you've got to really learn to master all of that to get to a place where you are just experiencing joy on a consistent basis. Because joy on a consistent basis is what happiness is. When you feel joy from everything that you do and interviews and going to work out and hanging out with your kids, like you're hunting joy on an ongoing basis. If you do that consistently at scale, you feel happy. And that's really what it is.
I am so excited to be sharing my new book, Bigger, Better, Bolder, out December 27th with you guys. I have worked so hard for the last 2.5 years writing this book. I put in my blood, sweat, and tears to help you harness the skill of being bold. I want you to chase what you want in life, not just take what you can get. And I want you to eliminate self-doubt. I want you to eliminate the fear of failure and really go after whatever you want. And I'm going to show you how. There is a practical guide in here that you can actionably do. So please go to jennifercohen.com where you can pre-order the book right now and also receive access to a masterclass for free. There's also a Facebook group if you'd like to join that as well. Don't forget to subscribe to my mailing list by going to jennifercohen.com and get my newsletter so you can get life hacks, productivity hacks every day in your inbox to help you optimize whatever you're doing most in life. Okay, so there's like a million things. So if you wake up early, you do this, the brain training. You said that's just an app. What app is that called? The
Lumosity.
And you can just download that on whatever.
Yeah.
And then when do you work out? What kind of workout do you do? Do you work out every day? You said you have the trainer who comes to your house every day?
Yeah.
The trainer comes every day?
He comes 5 days a week.
5 days a week. Yeah. And then do you not work out the other 2 days? And do you only do weights or do you do cardio?
Oh man, I
need details.
Look,
Rob.
this is a 2-hour episode in itself. But
yes. Do you want to move in for a week?
You know what I'm saying?
Or can I move in with you for a week?
Like right now, look, the only way for a human body to function correctly is for the neurology and the neuromuscular structure and the skeletal structure to be perfectly aligned, which also means that all of your muscles have to turn on and off the way that they are supposed to. And what happens to older bodies over time is as you begin to create muscle compensation based off of different dysfunctions that happen, and they're not always injury led. Like a lot of people have genetic predisposition to dysfunction that just rears itself in really bad compensation patterns as you age. But what I have found is that the fascial lines that run through your body will reprogram your neurology and connect muscles together, which in turn, through a neurological standpoint, to where your brain won't allow them to not fire together when they're supposed to fire opposite of each other, which in turns keeps them hypertonic, which is what ultimately creates the inflammation and the soreness in that muscle that you keep rolling out and keep stretching. And it doesn't matter what you do, you always pop that one hamstring. So, I've been on an unusual journey of re-engineering every single aspect of how the entire body functions together. And then most recently did full MRIs of all of my muscles to get the MRI density of all the density of all the different muscles. So now I can specifically grow that muscle back to be fully balanced, because my intent is to have a flawlessly operating, testable structure and system, to have no compensation in my whole body, but above all, not have any fascial lines that have basically liquefied and hardened to trap muscles together, that won't even allow them to grow into the balance. But really, I just want flawless, ooey gooey muscles like Tom Brady, so that I have a flawlessly functioning system. And then the most fascinating part of that is, if you look at my blood work from 2012 to 2022, you see, all of the inflammation disappears, leaky gut disappears, blood-brain barrier disappears, all these sort of cholesterol, like all of these things that are these sort of notable things that end up in people's blood work that they over-supplement for and do all these things to try to correct. I have just seen my blood work slowly get to baseline flawless over the years by simply re-engineering how every single thing of the human system operates the way it is meant to operate.
Okay, wait a minute.
See, look, I took you too far.
Okay, no. This is beyond. No, this is amazing. Because I understand everything you're saying, which is why I'm following you. Did you do a full body scan? Is that what you did? Like the no radiation full body scan? Yeah,
it's a new thing that I can't think of the name of it, but it's a full body MRI.
Yeah,
but it is built to do, but it's just measuring muscle. Yeah. And so it measures every single muscle, then isolates it, then shows if it's overdeveloped. I can't think of the name of the company. It's in Westlake. It's at the Four Seasons in Westlake.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And so again, but really what I had to first learn was because basically my trainer's a doctor. And so he's
who's your trainer? What's his name?
Name's Dr. Enny Stanislawski from the Sports Academy in Westlake. And
do you do everything at Westlake?
They come to my house. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, you would never drive.
Yeah. I mean, look, think how much time I would lose by going all the way out there.
Oh my God.
But God bless him, because what he did is I was like, I want flawless biomechanics. Because at the time, before we started this, I was in the absolute best shape of my life. I would wear a heart monitor and do circuit training. Yeah. And then I would set my anaerobic threshold. And when I was above anaerobic threshold, my heart monitor would beep. And so I had an effort score by doing these circuit programs that took around 40 minutes. So when the amount of time divided by the amount of time I was above anaerobic threshold would determine my effort. Because what I hated was you can go in and half-ass it in the gym so easy. Your trainer will talk you tight, right? And you'll go in every day, but you'll build a program around the things that are easiest for you to do, and you check it off, right?
100%.
Yeah. And so for me, it was what could I create to keep myself true? So I'm, at 8% body fat, 68% water, just in the best shape of my life. And I got pain in my glute med and my tib anterior is always achy. My right hamstring's always popping. Like my upper trap is always tight. Like in my scalenes, it always feels like my neck's being pulled down. I couldn't understand. How could you be in the best shape of your life, stretch every day, be so active and be in the best shape and then feel bound tight? And what did I try to do? I'd get 2 or 3 massages a week. Yes. I would roll out for hours and none of it would matter. And so I went on this journey of like, I want to figure this out. And so me and him tried every single therapy, and then he would research, find doctors. We would go to doctors, try new therapies, like tried every single thing that there possibly was that is in cutting edge technology. And it wasn't till I found a therapy called neurokinetic therapy, which is really essentially, connecting your muscle and fascial function to your brain function. And the beauty of that is you can isolate every single muscle in the body and test it. And then you can test that muscle if it's hypertonic, if it's firing backwards, or if it's firing normal. And then you can get biofeedback. It'll tell you what's causing it to be hypertonic or what's causing it to fire backwards. And then your body, this is how fascinating, this is what I learned from doing it, is if you can imagine you put on like thousands and thousands of layers of compensation one at a time. Yeah. And with neurokinetic therapy, you can unwind them, but you have to unwind them one at a time. And I spent 2.5 years going through and unwinding the entire compensation that I had built over 40 years. Took 2.5 years before it came down to where it's like structural alignment. And then when I began to get through the structural alignment, then it became internal organs, right? Because I had had my pec minor hypertonic into my glute med, like it was affecting my organs over here. So I had to have a visceral specialist go in and like separate all the organs to get them to be moving back. And then
did it hurt?
It hurts, but it's just like, rolling something out, it just sort of is what it is. But I'm not doing any of this on a whim. This is where the testing led me, right? Like this is the body feedback of like, hey, it's something underneath the rib. And then like, oh man, it feels like it's something internal. Then doing research on it, then finding a specialist that can release organs and then releasing it, then that compensation pattern going away and going to the next one. And the trippiest thing, you're going to trip out on this, is after I wound it all the way down, it was what I believed was a genetic predisposition for a right upper trap muscle not to fire at birth. So what led me to that is early on, when I was going to a primal movement specialist, right? Because I'm like, oh, primal movement. Maybe I didn't walk, right. I didn't learn to crawl right. So I love you. Look, I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, how old was I when I crawled or when I first started walking? Oh, you were over a year because I let your sister walk. I let your sister walk at 6 months and she had to go, she had bad eye problems. So I said, there's no way I'm letting you walk till you're at least a year. That's what the doctor told me. And I'm like, oh my God. Like it really worked. And so she would refer to it as the Hackenberg short leg because everybody in the Hackenberg family had a short leg, but we didn't have short legs. As I've come to find out, it's the Hackenberg curse. What actually it was is the upper predisposition for the upper trap not to fire, which then forced the pec minor to go hypertonic, which then you lean into your QL, which your glute med now has to go to the QL. Your core doesn't fire. Your lat, your QL, and your glute med fire to be your abdominals on your right side, which then in form goes all the way down to destabilize, which then grip the cluneal nerve, which destabilized my ankle, which is why I had bone spurs at 17 years old that I had to have surgery to have removed because no 17-year-old should ever have bone spurs. So this is the unwind that I discovered. She called it the Hackenberg curse. I'm like, no, it's a predisposition, a genetic predisposition for an upper trap muscle not firing. So I have a child. He's 6 weeks old. He is sitting in the crib, leaned in. And I'm like, okay. This little fella's upper trap's not firing. He's got the Hackenberg curse. And then I found, I found an infant kinesiologist to come in and test. And she's like, oh, his upper trap's not firing. And
she figured that out?
She figured it out without not guiding
you didn't
her
say
in
anything.
Any way, shape, or form. And then we did all these exercises. And from that point on, I have had a kinesiologist check the biomechanics of my children since birth every 6 weeks. And they are both just flawlessly structured. And for me, the only thing I'm trying to instill in my children is self-belief and flawless biomechanics. You know what I mean? Because I spent all these years getting to this place. So I digress.
Totally. But this is fascinating. By the way, how much did that even cost to do all that? Like, can the average Joe get these things fixed?
Look,
and
I don't.
do?
So for me, like, you know,
because you're very rich.
Yeah. So no, look. Listen to me. The average Joe could not justify the amount of money that is.
Yeah.
But again, so here's where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
Right. The same way that, like, the way that I've created my life system, that the first thing I'm building is a software for other people to do it for themselves. Because I created this harmonious, extraordinary existence where I perpetually evolved into my ideal self and realized that evolving into my potential is really where the happiness is, and this limitless potential that I have, I'll continue to evolve into. And I did it in a systematic way, and I created a system that's shareable. So the first thing I'm doing is creating the software so that everybody could create their own version and begin to do that for their lives. And then for me, the next big thing, call it, 7-8 years from now, will be building this into a baseline therapy that has a much more rapid and cheap way of getting to the results that I've gotten to, in a way to measure it in a more efficient and economic way, in the future, like, call it another decade from now, where I just wouldn't have the time or the space right now. And I'm still going through it and learning it. But it would be another thing that I would like to eventually build, because when someone talks to me about their, like, any of their chronic pain and describe it to me, I know that, like, man, there's so many layers. Like, I know that you got layered up, and we live in a physical therapy world that's wig on a pig, and even, you know what I mean? Even though there's been a remarkable amount of like growth in the space as it relates to cupping and rolfing and pliability and a lot of kinesiology. There's a lot of really smart
but it doesn't work long term anyway.
But it's the problem is the dysfunction's so much deeper, and the dysfunction is permanent. Like what I discovered is, like, the fascia has essentially re-engineered itself and changed the neurology. You can't, if you stretch it, it thinks it thinks it's in danger, and it pulls back harder. If you massage it, it goes harder. Now, if you pull it, it lets go. Right? Because if you go against the grain on what the fascia is, because it's locking down. So if you pull it up, and so what really it's really fundamentally why Tom Brady is playing at such a high level. And I joke about wanting to be ooey gooey like Tom Brady. Yeah. But if you ever see the work that they do, and isn't
Alex Guerrero his guy though?
Yeah.
Does Alex do that on him?
But you gotta, like, I don't necessarily know that they even are worried about this depth of what I've discovered, because I had to go through and create a testable way to get there.
Yeah.
I know that the way that they do all his body work is basically making sure that none of that fascia sticks.
Yeah.
And he has zero compensation. So what happens? It doesn't matter how old he is. When he turns and fires, his brain knows exactly what to do, and his body does exactly what his brain says. But when we build these dysfunctional muscle patterns that are then re-engineered through the fascia, and now two muscles are firing at once, or picking multiple muscles to fire for the same action because the natural pathway has been disrupted, then you go to throw and your lat fires instead of your pec, and then when you let go, go of it, it goes wide because your lat's pulling it instead of your pec shooting it, right? Like that, your brain thinks the pec's going to do it, but it can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So you do it the same way you've always done it, but your body's created a new pattern, and now your ball's sailing sideways. And so it's like, oh, I got to overcorrect for that. Now you're trying to retrain the way you throw it based off of your muscles changing the way that they're firing, based off of a neurology that the more you do it, the more permanent it becomes before it becomes embedded, and now you're chasing it. That's why athletes, their consistency fades as they get older, because now their body has begun to break down into all these permanent like muscle firing dysfunctions, and their brain is trying to do it the same way, but they're chasing it, trying to re-engineer a new way to do it. And then finally, I just can't do it anymore, right? Is sort of the pattern that I've seen in myself that I've been correcting. So I digress. So I don't really work out. You know what I'm saying? I don't really work out as much as I'm just like really trying to.
So no running and jogging. And,
yeah, I have this there's this, you know, really interesting machine called the ARP wave machine that basically.
I know that's like a 4-minute work. Is that the 4-minute workout?
Well, it's
or 6 minute.
No, it's not. It's basically like a frequency that disrupts your neurology. And so what I do is I'm just now that I have sort of the core, that MRI with all of the core muscle densities, now I'm using that to focus. But wait, hold on, I have a question.
Does that mean you're back to being like your body now is properly aligned like you were when you were like a teenager, or even more better than when you were a teenager?
Yes. And that's my whole joke is like,
you're like aging in reverse now.
That's it. And what really bums me out is because now like, you know, the new cutting edge in longevity is your biological age instead of your chronological age. Right. And I wish I would have got my biological age when I started doing my blood work in 2012, when I was allergic to everything and had leaky gut and blood-brain barrier and high cholesterol, all these things of like, that was the blood work I had when I was in the best shape of my life after doing those circuit. Deep inflammation, tons of allergies. So it's like, so up to that point, I am in the best shape of my entire life, and my blood work would have said I'm a mess.
Totally.
And then stopping working out completely and then just working on getting the entire system to work, all of my blood work is almost to baseline. And no doctor has ever seen somebody with baseline blood work.
But how? This is why I'm asking, because also I went to this guy. Do you know Chris O'Malley? Have you heard of him?
Mm-mm.
Oh, he does Tom Brady's blood. I mean, he's like a major nutritionist, or not. He's from NASA actually, and now he does like the Rams, and anyway, a lot of the professional athletes. I got this crazy blood test panel from him. Like they test like 1,500 things, and like, you know, people think I'm so healthy. I'm allergic to, the one thing I eat every day is eggs. I'm the most highly allergic to eggs. I could not believe, based on my blood, how many issues and problems I have. It does not make sense. And yet I work out every day. I do everything exactly how I should.
I'm sorry.
No, it's like unbelievable.
You were me.
No,
8 years ago.
Right?
You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't get it, because like I'm supposed to be like the picture of health, supposedly, you know, doing everything right. I'm not a drinker. I don't smoke. And like he came back. He's like, I don't know if this belongs. Like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah. Now, do you have chronic sort of aches and pains of like?
I don't have. I mean, listen, I have like, I've got lots of inflammation. I'm sure. I mean, I take omegas. I take NAD. I do every fucking thing you can imagine.
Yeah.
And it's like, how am I that allergic to eggs if I eat them every day? Did I make myself allergic to them?
Yeah.
What do I do?
I'm
Dr. Rob.
Okay, look. So let me tell you about, like, you know, as I began to see sort of things shake out that I was allergic to would change year over year.
Yeah.
Right. And it was just internal. Right. And so certain things that have stuck there tight. Right. And I would feel them. Like I would wake up coughing. And I'm like, why would I wake up coughing? And then I would go back through my diet and when am I coughing? God, I'm coughing on sushi nights. And then I go back through that blood work, and the one thing that stuck through that I was allergic to all the way to was the soybean.
Yeah.
Right. And so I just began to...
Or soy sauce. All of that
No,
stuff.
it wasn't even... No, it was just the bean.
Just
the flava
the bean?
bean. Yeah. So edamame. Right. So it was like edamame. And then I experiment, stopped taking out edamame, stopped coughing.
It worked?
Right. Yeah. It's like I really began to see over, because I have 10 years of blood work. So it's like I see all the things that went away and the things that have stuck that are the more like things that are more efficient. But I'll tell you one that was super trippy is out of nowhere, like in year like 9, my mercury levels were at like 25 when a medium mercury was like 2 to 4. And
that was my problem too. My mercury's over, not even it was beyond the high. I'm in like the dangerous zone.
Okay. So dangerous is like 6. I was at 25. Right.
Probably
and so,
what I'm at.
so now what are we doing? Now we're talking about like, man, this is crazy. And so, okay, well, I've got to correct this. So then we do an entire heavy metal detox and go through the entire thing, and then do the blood work again. It's still there. It goes from like 24 to 20. And then she is like, did you have cavities as a kid? And there's a lot of cavities that are leaking, and it could potentially be that. I went and got all my cavities replaced with, natural cavity, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Fully clean, 0 mercury, like dead back to normal. So imagine that. Like I was being slowly poisoned based off of the fillings I got in 86 in Ohio, that like I would have never even like, how could I have ever even, and then her even initial thing was like, you eat too much sushi. Well, I don't eat that much sushi. I do eat a lot of fish in my diet, but it can't be that. But it's even discovering something like that is so nuanced. But I digress as a whole here. When I started, I just wanted flawless biomechanics and wanted to be healthy.
Yeah.
So I started doing blood work. I started doing this, and I have grown to learn every muscle in my entire body. I now understand my blood panel at a super high level. You basically expand into life. And I like to refer to it as something like health is like an evolution goal, where the more you learn, the more is possible for you to do to make yourself better, and you implement new ideas and new systems. And for me, I know that I'm getting healthier and healthier and healthier, that I'm 48 years old and I am healthier than I was at 38.
Well, you look like you're 11, by the way.
Literally. And all that collagen on that skin.
Is that what I was going to ask you about this?
And the Jolie water filter, another company that I launched last year.
What's it called?
Jolie filtered shower head. Basically, if you want really high quality skin, you got to stop showering and the terrible water that comes out of your shower head, instead of putting on $5,000 shampoos and skin conditioners.
Yeah,
you got to shower in clean water.
Where'd you get that?
You can buy it online. It's one of our great builds, like flawlessly executed and built by an A+ entrepreneur, and just exploded overnight. Will be one of our biggest builds through the company. But
how much is that shower head?
It's 145, and then the filters are 30 every quarter, right?
It's not that bad at all.
And then from a business model, it's a hardware reinventing a space, right? And then the subscription, right? That's what makes it so beautiful. And then to go a layer deeper, it's a world-class entrepreneur who has a ton of experience in direct-to-consumer business, that built and sold a company that created the vision for this, looked at a very sleepy market, with a small market cap of $1 billion market cap, which really indicates to somebody doing research that it's either a market that's nobody cares about. People just don't want to shower in filtered water. They just don't care.
Yeah.
Or nobody's actually created something and created that people have found a reason and made the market. And that was but if it worked, the beauty of the model is it's really hard to put the shower head in, but it's really hard to take it out. So if you can commit to it and then it gives you the results, the lifetime value of that customer is going to be so significant that'll push the value of the company into software numbers. And then, it launched, exploded. He made the market, and the churn is at 2%, which is beyond, almost anything in subscription that exists because of that friction. So it's a needed product, a white space opportunity executed by a flawless entrepreneur against clear data and a beautiful business model that will be a $0 to a couple $100 million exit in a very short amount of time. Fully digressed on skin. Fully digressed
totally.
on skin.
But now you got me so interested in this thing, because I was going to say, like, how do people pitch you? Like, if someone has an idea?
But look, I don't want to go into business. I don't want to go into business. Okay. I don't want to go into business.
Okay, but it's like,
I want to get back to health.
Okay.
Because I don't want to take the listener all over the place. I shouldn't have done that one.
I know. Well,
but
it's your fault. I'm writing, but okay, I have to write that. By the way, you're going to have to come back on this podcast, because there's like so much to talk to you about. Yeah. Or let me follow you around for like a year and a half. Either one.
But I want to get back on just the overall
health
sort of idea of getting healthier
in skin, longevity, and habits.
That's it. But when I combine it all together,
okay,
I'm getting healthier, happier, wealthier, more balanced, more harmonious, a higher quality of life on an ongoing basis, because I designed it many in 2012 and 13, began to live it in 15 and 16 and grew into it. And I expanded and evolved into this over the last 6 years. I wasn't this way when I was 39. I wasn't this way when I was 35. I wasn't this way when I was 25. And you know what I mean? This is a rapid evolution that I became this much depth on all aspects of my life and business and way of living. All of this depth that I'm talking through, I developed and learned all of this at a rapid pace over the last 6 years. I haven't been doing this my whole life. I discovered it, designed it, and began to live it, and have grown into this person over 6 years,
Okay, so what else are you doing? Okay, wait. Okay, let me just track myself, because there's so much here. Okay, so let me get this straight. So in fitness, all you're doing, you're basically doing all these things for your skeletal, but now it's done. So now what do you do?
Now once I got through basically where I could eventually, now I can test every muscle in my body, and it turns on and off the way it's supposed to.
Fire. Okay, so what's your workout?
So now it's muscles under stress.
Okay.
Right. So I'm still going back to old compensation patterns.
Okay.
And I can test it immediately. I can actually feel it. If my scalene muscle fires hypertonic, I'll be like, God, stop. Check my scalene.
And you can check.
I can feel every muscle in my body that goes hypertonic. I can feel it inside the body. Right. Which is another reason of everybody always puts it on my doctor of you need to share this with people. And it's he can't replicate this. He's not I can tell him if my soleus just went hypertonic. People don't even know what a soleus is. You know what I mean?
But never mind hypertonic.
Yeah.
Have you heard of NeuroFit though? How you can put those electrodes on you, and then it fires your muscles as you work out?
Yeah. So I'm basically doing a mini version of that. Okay. But instead of trying to time the firing, I'm basically disrupting the neurology of the muscle and then working it out. And today, to give you an idea of how I used the vibrating plate, and then had the neurology, the ARP wave on my core. And I just did calf raises, because I just wanted to begin to, by being on the vibrating plate and having the ARP wave on my core, it basically allows me to do calf raises and my body not go into compensation, because I now need to build all of the different weak muscles.
Yeah.
And right now my only goal is going from the toes to the knees, to the hips, to the core. I'm trying to build every muscle perfectly even, where they all turn on and off with duress, one at a time, all the way up. And I'm just starting at the bottom and going up. And then I'll just probably do this for another 6 or 8 months, and then go get another MRI. Right. So it's and then when all those muscles are even, then I'll move on. And then, because here's the crazy thing. I've been doing this for 7 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not like I don't even, and I felt crazy after like year 3. You know what I mean? I just stopped talking to people because this idea that you're still going through this process of rebuilding your system 7 years later seems crazy to people. But you have to realize, in the grand scheme of things, I only have about an hour and a half a day to dedicate to this.
Right. 4% of the 4%.
Yeah. And so it's like making a significant impact on this dysfunction that your body's evolved into over 40 years. You can't do by dabbling an hour a day, even though I have definitive, like, quantifiable proof of my progression. And if I wanted to heal myself and get everything, I could accelerate it. If I dedicated like all day, every day for like 6 months, I could probably do it in a rapid amount of time. But I know that I'm making progression and getting healthier and healthier. And in my life plan and life strategy, I'm okay with dedicating a decade to rebuilding my body, because I have this flawless body that not only
if you do say so yourself.
You know, yeah, well, yeah. Wait, look.
I'm using that as a clip.
Hey, look. Let me just say, from functioning only. You know what I'm saying? Because it still looks like a dad bod.
Yeah, no way. You're like tiny. He's 4 ounces soaking wet.
And the idea, though, is not only do you feel amazing, everything works together. You now have a baseline for the rest of your life.
Totally.
You have for the rest of your life. So there'll never be everything now. I'm doing preventative medicine based off of knowing that I built the system completely flawless. I got into a car accident 2 days ago, and
oh no, are you okay?
Yeah, and this is the beauty of my entire life system of like get into a car accident, first car accident in my life. Like, shoot a photo of his car, shoot a video with him, his license and insurance, send it to the people that work for me. Go home, someone comes and gets the car, I go get in the sauna and go do my day of all my work and everything. Don't even skip a beat. Now I got a little bit of whiplash, but I could tell when my doctor showed up the next day, like upper traps, hypertonic, scalenes, hypertonic, when I hit the neck, like, and lower trap and rhomboids are all going right now. And then, because it was the whiplash, and then we worked those out for 3 days, and whiplash is gone, and like that's how much I know the body versus like somebody being like, oh, they got whiplash, and then now they go to a chiropractor and being like, oh, my shoulder. Like, I knew what it was, had him work on it, and we used all my, I have like all these different tools, including ultrasound to heat it up and get it back.
Too?
Yeah, like everything to kind of push it, right? And all these tools, and know what to use and when in order to get it to work. But again, it's that baseline of health, but understanding and knowledge.
Yes.
You know your body and everything. So I used to want to live to 104 or 105. And at 104, I wanted to get shot into space and spend my last year in space. And I wanted to explore the heavens with my own onboard telescope without the light pollution of Mother Earth. And then I would die in that spaceship. Now, then I had kids and got married and was like, well, I'm never doing that. I'm going to fire myself up into the sky with my kids and wife here. So then I decided, no, I'm not going to do that. But after reading the book Ikigai, right, the Japanese guide to happiness and long life, there's a whole thing about super centurions in there. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a super centurion.
What is that?
Someone who lives beyond 110. So then my new goal was, so my new goal was 112. Then as I began to like lock in on this time matrix of understanding hours and the value of hours as it relates to percentage and how I track all those and put value to them and see how I live this beautifully balanced life. And then I'm like, well, I wonder how many hours 112 years is. Well, it was like, 900,000, 989. And I'm like, okay, no, what's a million hours? And a million hours is 114 years and 54 days. So I've decided now that my goal is to experience 1 million hours of life, right? So I now have when I build it out, I build out all the years, all the days, all of the hours and what it will be, which will be 2088. So like when I look at how I build out my plans, and I can, even how I do my goals, I do them every quarter, and they're 5 and 10 and 15 year plans, because the clearer I get, the further out I can see, because I can share with my wife, hey, I'm going to work to here. This is when I'll be worth 1.6 billion. And then when the kids are between 11 and 15, I'm going to take 5 years off, and I'm only going to work for about 10 or 15% of my time instead of the 25 to 30% of the time that I work now. And that I really want to spend the time traveling and showing them the world. And when they're old enough, but not old enough to where they want to completely do their own thing, like where we can have this time together. So even the intentionality of like what our lives look like together is how clear that I've gotten over the years by getting better and better at understanding myself and creating a more probable future on an ongoing basis. I took you too far. I took you too far.
You didn't.
We're going deep down into too many things. How much time we got?
Oh my God, no, I'm like amazed by you. I don't want to tell you because you're going to be like, my optimized time is being wasted and sucked out of this.
Yeah, look, we're.
Well, how long has it even been? I don't want to even tell you.
Yeah, we got a little bit.
How long has it been?
I don't know. It's been
like 2 hours.
Oh my God. Well, how do you expect this to be 5 minutes? It's literally impossible.
I love that I would take you down another deep rabbit hole and then be like, we got to go.
Yeah, see ya. I mean, there's so much here though. Okay, so then that's what happens if God forbid, but if you get sick, like how do you if that happens, is there any kind of thing in place if you get cancer, God forbid, what happens? Like is there a way to kind of make sure you don't get that? Or is there a way to kind of make sure you don't get sick, or to really find preventative? Like, are you in a full body scan every 6 months to make sure? Like, what are you doing to be healthy sick wise?
Yeah.
So you don't get these diseases.
Listen, I don't really think about that.
Sorry.
Hey, you want to think of you want to get sick? Think about it all the time.
No. Maybe you're right. But I'm saying you want to live till 114.
But again, to that point, the same way that at 48, like I'm ready to start the process of doing the full body scans for everything, like they do at Life Force and these different sort of executive programs that they do. Then I'm going to start doing that on a yearly basis, right?
And you've never done that kind of scan before?
Not yet.
Why? I'm surprised.
Well, again, you got to think about it. I'm still living a happy, balanced life where I'm taking my kids to school. We're going doing adventures. I'm spending all my time with my wife and working on my companies and having fun. Like I'm eyeing things that I know I need to do and then continually adding them as I knock off other things, right? So when I think about something like that, it just requires another level of commitment, another commitment of time. And right now, the time that I allot outside of my family is where I work and where I do stuff that would require me traveling to San Diego to do the scan, right? Because they don't have one here.
They do have one here. That's what I'm going today, actually.
Oh, they do have one here? Then maybe I'll get your hookup and go to that one. But again, I'm on some wanting to do not just one, but all of them. Because I want to begin to understand how are they doing it so I can begin to assess it myself. I don't trust anybody's evaluation. I don't trust anybody's therapy. I'm looking for understanding their insight, and look, when I was trying to figure out what was going on with my dysfunction as I was going through the initial process of I just want to fix my biomechanics, and then was really beginning to learn the body and understanding the Hackenberg curse. I went to one of the world-renowned hip specialists. And so they did an evaluation and then did an x-ray, and then he put up an x-ray of my hips and he looked me in the eyes and he said, listen to me, I do about 400 hip surgeries a year. I have looked at 15,000 hips. And you, my friend, got some good looking hips. And I was like, and then suggested, hey, the Hackenberg curse is exactly what your mom said. You have a structural short leg, and the only way that you could fix it is if you had bone extension and lengthen it. That is your only option. So you're either going to have to wear a lift for the rest of your life or whatever you need to ultimately manage it, but you have a structural short leg. And so for me, I'm like, guy, you just laid me down on an x-ray machine. The muscles are all hypertonic, pulling the hip up and making it appear in an x-ray that you're shooting down on that it's shortened. It is not a structural short hip.
It's just heightened.
Yeah, and then I'm like, you don't even, to even measure for a structural short leg, which is like, it's like literally like 0.001% of the earth has it. You measure the two bones and you compare them. No. And so it was like, but I just thought to myself, wow. Like, and I just said, oh man, that sucks. I appreciate it. I didn't try to debate this man's, he's one of the most world-renowned hip surgeons in the world. And I'm not going to like debate like, man, that was the most insane misdiagnose of all time. Now, if I would have went to him early on, what would I have thought?
Yeah.
I'm so depressed.
Yeah.
I got to get a lift. I got to get a lift. I mean, should I contemplate the surgery? Do I want to feel this achiness forever? But that's the problem with not like the goal not being to learn your body completely and understanding everything and using like information to give you insights for you to make the decision on your own body is the stuff that you've got to learn over time if you want to be truly healthy, rather than keep going from thing to thing to thing, hoping they're going to be able to help you be healthy.
Totally agree with you. What do you eat then? What do you have like things, staples every day that you eat? And how do you automate your life so you have time to be doing all of these things? Like, I love the haircut. I heard you say that you'd go to like a Fantastic Sam's and then you would basically like pay for everybody's haircut. Mm-hmm. Therefore, you can cut the line. But now you just have someone who comes to your house, which is much easier.
Yeah, and again, it's a system of like, because here it is in a deeper layer.
Okay.
I have a pretty simple haircut, but I would like to never have to think about it. So by just having someone come to the house once a week, it's just a tune-up on the thing. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if I got to go to an event the other night or I got to go do something. I never have to think about it. So it never enters the fray. It takes me 15 minutes each week. And now it reduces a bit of friction where in the past it'd be like, I'm going out next week. I haven't had a chance. Like now I got to spend time to go. Yeah, it was efficient that I would drive to Supercuts in a Ferrari and spend $200 to pay for everybody's cut so I could go next. But I was still wasting all that time and energy and stress of like trying to be reactive rather than proactively creating a system, right? And for me, then I do the same thing with meals. And I just have the same salt and pepper chicken delivered to my house on an ongoing basis every single day. And then I have all the
meals. From where? Is it good?
I just have like a food delivery service that does like an organic, like, free range chicken that does a good job cooking it. Then every day I have a shake and supplements.
What kind of shake?
I just do like a friend of mine has a brand called Creatures of Habit.
Oh my God. Of course, I'm working with this. I'm dealing with him right now, Michael.
Yeah.
You're friends with him?
Yeah, he's the best.
Everyone loves this guy.
Yeah. No, it'd be a similar conversation where it's like people saying, you got to talk to Rob. Yeah. Same with him. Like he's an extraordinary man, but he's in the fitness world. So you would have
No. I'm working with him where I have a fund that I'm doing with, do you know Joe DeSena from Spartan?
Mm-mm.
You don't know? Okay. And so anyway, Creature, I'm very familiar. We have a lot of mutual friends and he's looking for some investment right now. Yeah. Do you know about this? Maybe with your multi-millions of dollars, you can help him out.
Well, he knows as he was early stage and I still wouldn't invest with him because like I only co-fund the businesses and fund the development. And he had already found investors, had a valuation and created the product. And, I just told him, he was devastated. And I'm like, hey, man, it's just I have a very disciplined approach and I just would not invest at this stage.
Really? So so wait a second. So how do you do what you said? Because that was what I...
So for me, it's like I co-find every business.
Okay.
Or I'm there.
So if someone comes to you and pitches you, you're not into it.
No. And then it's like, and then it has to be at a certain valuation that's usually sub, depending on exactly what it is, but in the $1 million to $2 million range, because this is how I build every business. Idea with somebody, then we co-find it together. Then I put up the first few $100,000 to develop the product, then put up, find strategics and put up the money to do the first, $1.5 million to $2 million to launch it. And then if it works, then I'll put in the $5 million to grow it. Right. And then if it really works, I'll put in the 10 million for the growth round. Right. So basically I have complete control of the capital staging as I'm developing the business. So I won't, if it's not working, I will not invest in the later stages and will just maintain the equity. And if it's really not working, I will give it back to the founder. Because like when they don't work, I am not going to sit here and grind it out with you. And I don't also need to worry about my capital because now it was proven that it didn't work and you're going to get diluted and struggle so much. I will just give it back to you and you can either put it out of business. Either way, I'm taking the loss or you can continue to run it, which a lot of people do. But I'm in the business of either winning or giving it back. I'm not in the business of hanging on to it and hoping it works one day. I'm building it with the intent of it working fast if it doesn't, or it's clear that it may never work. I don't want to dedicate any more energy, but I also it's painful because that person put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. We developed it together. I invested in it. We all believed in it and it doesn't work. That's life-changing and disruptive for an individual who has to basically start over or fight to survive.
Right.
Versus me where I get to go back to my, my balanced, happy life.
In your ivory tower.
My muscles are feeling so good right now. I know you're stressing. You know what I mean?
My biomechanics are on point.
Man, it's like, I know you're stressing, bro, but I'm floating right now. So and one of the things is I just like to give it back to him, and even if you go on and it becomes this giant success, I know you would pay me back or give him my money. It hasn't happened yet, but it's a spiritual and energy thing for me that I continue to be super cautious about, so that I'm never in a place where I'm grinding it out with the sorrow of the person that I built something with because it didn't work. When it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Right. If someone came to you with a concept to be a co-founder of it, that you'll do potentially, but you
potentially,
won't, but not really. Does it have to be your idea?
No.
Okay.
I other people's ideas all day, but most of co-finding them together is really what I love to do the most. But I even then I put a stop on all new builds this year as I turn to building the philosophy out and building the software. Yeah. Because I want to then evolve my content into all machine mindset, design, automate, optimize, sort of. Content, the books, and the software is what I want to focus on right now. Because if I build that community to scale, then now I can create products and services for that community. So it ends up being a fully synergistic flywheel of community purpose and ultimately venture, right, with a much more easier, accelerated growth opportunity for the right ideas, right? So it's a more sophisticated looking out into the future way of looking at it. So I don't. So that's why I'm sorry.
Creature of habit.
Mr. Chernow, I'm sorry. I did not end up in investing, but I love him and love
like
the product.
Then?
Yeah. So I use the product every day.
So you actually like the product.
I use the product every single day.
And you still won't give him $100,000 or $50,000.
Look, listen to me. I don't give 100. If I can't put in millions, I can't do it. If I don't think I can make 50 to 100 million, it's really hard for me to do. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not exciting to me. You know what I mean? And if I don't feel like I played a part in it,
it's not interesting.
Yeah, it's I want to put my stamp on it. I want to believe in you when it was just an idea. Like, I don't want it to be developed and the product be done. I want to look into a person's soul, evaluate them, look at the idea, evaluate it, and then come up with a way of deciding that I believe in you, and here's how we're going to help shape this and guide this and create this into a successful venture. If I can't go through that process, giving somebody $100,000 and that $100,000 becoming worth $2 or $3 million does not appeal to me in any way, shape, or form. So I do that with collagen. Another company I co-founded was Momentous, right? Which is another supplement company.
Momentous, which one is that?
They're that's another big one right now. Like, I co-founded it with the kid who actually, his father was an investor in my professional skateboarding league, and he dropped out of Harvard to build a supplement company, and I helped him develop it. Yeah. So no, it's big. It's like the preeminent, like,
but what's the
the very best quality? It's just the highest
pharmaceutical
quality.
grade?
Pharmaceutical is relative, but it's on that level, right? Where it's just every single one is certified and.
But what is it? Was it like an omega-3?
Oh no, it's everything. It's everything.
Oh, they have everything.
Every single bit of supplement there is. So then I use the collagen and then all the supplements, and then I actually use an Elysium Omega. Right, Elysium is the doctors that created the Omega called Matter. Right, where it's really about long-term brain health.
It's actually NAD. True Niagen is a company that creates it. Yeah. Elysium, they were in a situation. Right. Yeah. But they were getting the stuff from True Niagen.
Yeah. And again, look, this is what I do on a daily basis, right? And then so I have that shake around 10, except for on the days that I take my wife to a breakfast date.
What do you have in breakfast?
Right. And so for breakfast today, I had a scramble with chicken and ham and Swiss cheese and a salad. Right.
Nice. And where do you go? Which deli? Not like I don't want to get like a whole thing.
There's a deli right by my house that I go to all the time. Right. Okay. And so but then I'll have my shake later in the day and my supplements. But I track. Even in my tracking today, I track like my readiness score, my sleep time, my sleep score. Then I track, did I get up at 5? Did I brain train? Did I meditate? Did I get in the gym? Did I eat clean? Did I not drink? Did I take my supplements? Right. Yeah. So it's like I track even like I don't even want to because a big leap forward in my blood work was when I'm committed to the supplements full time, and I take athletic greens in it in the same time.
In the shake. Wait, so what do you put in the shake? You put
and just almond milk.
Almond milk. And what was it you said?
And then blueberries or blackberries. It's frozen blackberries, so it's got that nice little fruity taste.
Right. So you have blackberries, almond milk. What's the kind of shake that you said? The athletic greens you said you
athletic
put in there?
Greens, then the collagen, and then the Creatures of Habit. Now changed to meal one.
Yes, now changed to meal one. Right. Yeah. Okay, so that's what you do for supplements. No dinner? Do you eat dinner most of the nights?
I usually eat dinner around like between 4 and 5. And then if I don't have a date night that night, then I won't, I'll eat at like 2, like have the chicken at like 2. But I try to just eat in that window as much as I can.
Wow. Okay. And then what else do you automate? Like what, other than the haircut, do you have a driver? Because there's no way you're wasting time driving a car.
I do.
Yes. And they're probably like, where the hell is he?
Oh no, he for sure. He's like,
what is going on?
He for sure is like.
He's probably like, what's going on? Okay, what else do you optimize? Give me some. We didn't even get into your relationship because to me, people have no, like this guy should be. Yeah, you should be teaching a course on relationships. Yeah. We haven't even talked about that yet. Yeah. Do you see why you have to come back?
Yeah. Look, the idea of teaching a course on a relationship. Like makes me want to fall right asleep and die. You know what I mean? Like it's the idea of teaching a course. Look, I'm not a teacher, right?
Okay,
like
but you have such not like this instinctually. Then,
but you want to know what it is? Like this is my format, right? Like where I want to be an example. I want to be like this is possible. right? And you can get to this level of happiness. You can have this type of relationship. You can learn everything about your life and money and master your reality. You can slow time down and control reality. I am a living example. I want to be the example, but I know I will never be a teacher. Right? Because it's just not, I'm a creator where it's like, and I know even when I look at my life plan and everything that's structured, like from the short term, long term, I know that creating content, I'm doing 3 books, I'm building the software and doing about 200 pieces of content to go along with the 1,680 episodes that I'm shooting over the next 5 years. And that will probably be it for me as it relates to content, because I know that I'm going to want to evolve into doing one-off projects, right? Like these much more finite, like let's go deep on creating something magical and do one thing at a time, as opposed to these really long-term legacy building pieces of work that I know that I won't want to do. And this, what will trip you out the most is like I'm transitioned in 2020 mentally from self-preservation to generational preservation, right? So now I'm like, I think every move that I make is, I think about it through the lens of how am I going to impact hundreds of years of Dyrdeks and people that come from our family, whether that's the design of my forever estates that I've been designing since 2015 that I will put into a trust and then pay rent to the trust that will build an endowment that will eventually be the money that operates the home where there can be family meetings there for hundreds of years, right? And have it dedicated to the family, but also be operational. These type of systems and ways of thinking way beyond, and all the way down to, having a book of every one of these quotes that I sent my wife for 70 years before I die. That's part of what's possible in a relationship. Then we're going to get crushed into crystals. And then we're going to be in the front of the home and glimmering in a light where we're going to be part of the chandelier at the front of Forever Estates.
Is that true?
I'm thinking about it. I thought about that last week.
Did your wife just go along with all this stuff?
She does. I'm way, way, way out there. And
she's just like, yeah, whatever, cool, whatever you want to do.
And look, the beauty of her is like she has just like slowly adopted by osmosis so many things.
Yeah.
Like she sees the power systems, so she starts building her own systems in her life. So, I think it's like I keep her so overly informed on everything. There's just not one thing that I'm doing that she does not have complete and total insight to. And then anytime there's any friction, we build a system, including like having a therapist come to the house every other week just to have neutral ground for things that like maybe we just don't feel as comfortable talking about one-on-one and want to problem solve, to have like somebody as a voice. And to me, on top of asking her to say how she feels every day, 0 to 10. So I just have insight and kind of where her head's at in sort of how things are going. You know what I mean? Like it's just all of this data that's only about us being balanced and happy. And again, being in a state of joy as consistent as we can be, because that's where the happiness is found,
And you said you only spend 30% or 35% of your time working. So
no, way less, under 30.
Under 30%? Yeah. So where do you spend the other 70%? Is it
you sleep, right?
Yeah,
you sleep, and then...
It's how much of that sleep then?
Yeah, that's about 29.
29? Okay, so now we're at 60, let's
then
say.
10% is about... 10%, and these numbers might be off a little bit. 7 to 10% is on health, right? Mm-hmm. As it relates to meditating and brain training and gym and sauna and all these sort of different things. And then 14 is about the number with the wife, and then 14 is about the number for the kids, right? And that it ends up being like in the 30, 30 to 35% with the kids, and then the 25 to 30 is work, right? On any given month. And then depending on, in the summer when we travel a lot and more vacation and do different things, that I work less, you know what I mean? And I've been working a little bit more because by the grace of God, the wife started getting up at 4:30. So she needs to sleep longer than me. So she's exhausted at like 8, and like if she's ready to go to bed at 8:30, I'm like, oh man, I'm getting up at 3:30 then, but if she wants to go out and stay later, if I stayed out, I wouldn't ever sleep past 5, but if I stay up past 10, I get up at 5, or if I would go to bed at 9:30, I would get up at 5. Like I still try to get that 7 to 7.5 hour range because that's optimal for me. But if she's super tired and we, because all we're gonna do is hang out and watch TV or play a game or whatever it may be.
What games?
Like Yahtzee is really something we love to play.
Oh,
and
I like gin rummy cube.
And so and again, it's this fluid sort of rhythm of balance where it's like in all these date nights, day dates, all this stuff, picking up the kids, having that time together, like the family sinks and family organizations. Then on the weekends, we always do something with the kids, and then the kids' activities, and then we have, we also then have like a full-time nanny in all the hours that the kids are awake. So it's 2 people that work that are there from 6:30 to 7 every single day. 2
nannies or 1 nanny?
1 nanny per day, but covering at all times. So we then have absolute flexibility. Even we have them on call when our kids are in school full time. So if one kid isn't going to school or gets sick or something happens, it's always covered. We never have to think about it, right? So that sort of rhythm just ensures that we never get disrupted through the kids or the kids' activities. And then I've never missed a pediatrician appointment. And if one of my kids got sick, I would cancel the day and then go take them to the pediatrician, right. All of that. I do not compromise the needs of my family for work in any way, shape, or form. Right? If it's, there may be a gray area here and there, right. Where my wife wants to keep my son home from school and I got to go shoot that day, and moving a shoot day is much more complex. Yeah. I would be let's wait till I'm done and go do it, or do it tomorrow morning, depending on it, measure it for its severity. If it was this kid's really sick, then I would cancel it. But, I'm fluid with it the same way I'm fluid with her emotion and how she's feeling, and changing my schedule and feeling no, I gotta she's been gone for 3 days, and in our rhythm and system, I stay in this constant flow. She goes away for 3 days. She comes back to our rhythm and flow. But because we're in our rhythm and flow, she feels like I don't even care that she was gone. So right. we built into the system, when she's gone and comes back, then I clear the day that she comes back and we go see a movie, go get dinner, so that she feels I'm
she's important
and excited to be with her. So again, inside the rhythm and the flow and the system, there was that disruption of her feeling every time she traveled, because we just jump right back into the rhythm, that she's being just feels a certain way. I don't tell her she shouldn't feel that way.
Right.
I change the system, and it's nothing for me to know when she's traveling and then clear that
Where's
day.
Where's she going, by the way?
I don't know. She does all types of
okay.
random different stuff. You know.
Okay.
But we are trailing. We need. We're on episode 3 now. We're running out of camera.
I think we're running out of tape. I know. It's it's been 2.5 hours. I told you I wanted to warn you. I should have warned you before. Yeah. But you're fascinating.
We need to wrap it up because I do got to get back.
Okay, fine. We are going
to.
I know. I got to go get. I know. Me too. I got to go get my full body scan.
What time's your full body scan?
I got to be there at 3.
Yeah, it's 2. Yeah,
I know. I know.
Yeah.
But I didn't even get to. I feel like I didn't even get to ask you all the questions. But now I have your phone number.
That's my fault because I'm a talker.
You like to talk too, though.
Yeah.
But you're a good storyteller, and you really do go into the minutia of stuff, which I like really appreciate.
And I keep the layers depending on
who you're talking to.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like if like
you can read a room.
Yeah, I read the room, and like in some, I was joking with my cousin where it's like I would be on a pot like where I'll bring people down, then pull them back up with the zingers, because certain people like I can bring you into the depth, but if we start talking too much about it, then they're like, this is too heavy. This is too heavy.
Well, I think the part with the body scan, not the body scan, the like all the biomechanics.
Yeah.
I was riveted, and all the health and fitness people will be riveted.
Yeah.
Probably some people will probably fast forward that. I think it's amazing information though. Yeah. But I think everything you've said to me is amazing. So you don't want to, okay, so you got to go to your, I don't even know how long it's been. Okay, so can you come back?
I can.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
You promise?
Well, yeah, we would need to put some time between it. You know. This is what we'll do. This is what we'll do. Instead of like just
tomorrow.
Look, instead of doing like a freestyle into no man's land, like you should just like send me like, hey, here's the 5 things I want to talk about. Then it could be like tight, and like then we'll stay within the structure rather than allowing me to go off into no man's land. But there's so
much about you. Like I mean, that's why you need to have like an entire series about like, just Rob's life. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
And I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
Do you know that this podcast was called Game Changers? And it was actually, you'll appreciate this, it was a TV show that I sold to NBC. Mm-hmm. And it was based off of my idea of like creating a Cribs, but for entrepreneurs to kind of the day in the life. Like what do they eat every day? What do they drink every day? What are their productivity habits?
What happened to it?
So I sold it to them, and it was like it got lost in the weeds.
So you never shot the pilot?
We couldn't even we couldn't agree. I wanted to have someone who was like a true serial, like I wanted to do like a Mark Cuban. They wanted to do like Kim Kardashian. I'm just giving an example. We were not agreeing, and it was like me at it was just forever. And I'm like, forget this. I'm just going to do it as a podcast. And that's what I did. Yeah. But I still believe that's a great idea, because I'm fascinated with people like you. And so many people are. That's why like people actually care more about what's in the weeds versus these like broad strokes. Because everyone hears about broad strokes. Everyone knows about the broad strokes. Like, I do infrared sauna, and I love sleep, and I love cold plunge. All right. Like you hear that everywhere, right? What else do you do? Like, that's why when you went into that biomechanic, whole thing to me, that's interesting, because you don't hear that every day.
But I want to say like, that's the rarity of it. But it's also for me why I'm trying to like, create a philosophy. Then that philosophy can be practiced through a software. And then all of the content that I create is how to learn and ideate and ideas to how to practice that philosophy that then by itself in a box lives forever. Right? Like I want to create my Think and Grow Rich, my Wallace D. Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich, these books that were written in 1910 and 1928 that are still relevant in philosophy today. Like that's what I'm seeking to create. And then beyond the work itself, then like the tools that you can actually apply it, and then be known for your philosophy above all, which truly is a system to create a harmonious, high quality life that allows you to live that consistent joy, which truly is happiness.
I want to know one thing, that you can go home or go pick up your kid. What does your mom think of you, or your family? Do you have brothers or sisters?
I got a brother, or I have a sister, and my mother. To give you like some context on my mother's concept of paying a doctor to come to the house. I just can't believe you still do it. It's like it is, and the fact that you like are not like even like getting like working out is such a waste of money. It's such a waste of money. So for her, it's just you're wasting money to be a part of it, and like even who she even created, she can't even fathom. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's not even, there's no part of her that can relate to it. Even when I had millions and millions of dollars, she would be like, I just hope you have enough saved to go to college. You know what I'm saying? And this is like when I had like, like this is in like Robin Big and MTV days where it's like, man, you've been a professional skateboarder for all these years. You have all these companies, like you got multi-million-dollar houses and driving Bentleys and like, I just hope you have enough to go to college, And I'm like, man, college has sailed, but and then I look at my parents as, they are products of their environment, and they created their systems, and those systems they became bound by. And then there is no way that they can ever get out of them. They're just simply hunting pockets of joy, because they'll never experience what it's like to feel consistent joy on an ongoing basis because of the way that they built and created their lives. And that's what I think most people do. And especially as you get older and you don't see a pathway to create happiness, because it just doesn't make sense to you because you don't have a framework to follow. And you've got to begin to make progression towards it, to begin to build the belief and grow it over time, that allows you to get there and stay motivated and disciplined to achieve it. But people just don't have the framework, even if they are motivated, that lasts a limited amount of time. And that's why it's so important for me to push towards a clearly understandable philosophy, and then the tools to be able to apply it to your life, to ultimately just help people break the machine that is them, which is their dysfunctional system, and learn to redesign it and make it functional and harmonious, and just be happy.
Gosh, you just unbelievable. You do not disappoint. I swear, you are everything and above and more that what I saw, read, heard. Amazing. I'm seriously blown away by you.
Thank you.
Where do people find? Okay, so I will wrap it up because God knows it's like turning into the evening. No, but where do people find you who don't know how fabulous you
everything is Rob Dyrdek and the Dyrdek Machine.
That's it.
That's it.
Or just watch him on MTV at nauseum for 24 hours straight, like a marathon.
Yeah, you can watch him on MTV. You'll be like, that's the guy I just listened to. Where it's like, looks like he broke his ankle.
I love it. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching Habits and Hustle. Please watch another video here and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already by pressing the button below.
Jennifer Cohen, visionaries, tune in, you can get to know them. Be inspired, this is your moment. Excuses, we ain't having that. The Habits and Hustle podcast, powered by Habit Nest.